Hey, how's it going,
What's
Frank?
going
How you doing, buddy?
on? Doing good, man. What
Uh,
about
so-
you?
it's been a rough week. It's been a tough week, and that real quick, I want to say hi to Sharon, hi to John, hi to Leonard. Um, you know, there's John Stewart. Lenny. I love Lenny, man. Lenny's a good guy, and I love Sharon. Sharon is a sweetheart. She's all the way in another country and religiously watches the show. I'm still trying to get her on as a special guest, just to come on and hang out with us. If you want to do that today, Sharon, you just give me a thumbs up in the chat room, and I'll send you the link. Okay. Love to have you on and just be a part of the conversation if you want, Sharon. Yeah, it's been a rough week. Everybody knows that. I adopted a dog a month ago, and I'll pull up a picture here. This is oops, I don't know what that was. That's Rascal. That's my dog. I adopted him about a month ago, and had him on the show last time. Let him everybody see him and everything. But tragically, he was attacked by a lot larger dog than him. My dog only weighs about 10 or 11 pounds, and he got attacked by a lot larger dog, probably a 120-pound dog, and was hurt pretty bad. So that was last Wednesday. He seems to be doing better now. He does lay around a lot. He does not move a lot. Luckily, last night he ate for the first time, so that's a good sign. Um, so
Yeah,
he's got a rough go of it, and it's it's a sad situation, and you know, but I think he's on the road to recovery.
yeah. I was gonna ask. I didn't know if you mentioned it or not already, because me and you talked the other day, and I was gonna ask you while he's backstage, and he was a little short. I got here a little late, and but at least he's eating. That's terrible. I,
Yeah, it was probably the most violent. I mean, I was in the military. I've seen some violence, and I was in law enforcement for 15 years. I've seen some violence, but this was. Hey, thank you, Seminole. I appreciate it. Um, this was violent. I mean, it happened so fast that I tried everything I could to fight this dog off,
Mhm.
but it literally got to the point where for a moment I gave up. I just stopped. Like, he's just going to kill my dog,
Right.
and at that moment, I don't know if it was divine intervention, but the bigger dog was on his hind legs and with my dog in his mouth fell backwards, and when he did, he dropped my dog, and at that point I was able to scoop him up and get him to safety. um but he's in bad shape. He's got some definitely some open wounds that we're nursing. Our biggest concern is internal injuries, because he was just shooken like a rag doll, dude. It was
Right.
nasty. And
Yeah.
but what I have done, comes tomorrow, I ordered a cattle prod.
Hey.
So
I
so
mean,
when
for
I take
real.
my dog, yeah, because I don't want to kill another dog. I don't. I'm a big animal lover, and
Right.
especially dogs. But
Yeah.
I ordered a cattle prod, so if this thing comes near us again, he's getting a zap of his life. Because of the job I'm in, I do have a taser. But I only have two cartridges, and they're $75 a piece. So I'd hate to waste one on him, but it would definitely give him a 30-second ride he would not forget.
Oh,
So
it's funny because I was looking them things up today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not cheap. I mean, the one I've
Well,
got,
no, but I was
is
asking
Kinder.
because I'm under the same impression you are because we have a lot of stray animals that run around here and they're all big dogs, which I had big dogs, but now I have two little dogs. And for instance, like last night, a guy was walking. I got a new thermal and I was out in the
Thank
yard
you,
testing.
John.
And just so happens a guy walking, it's like a little miniature poodle walking down, and all my dogs are going crazy, and all of a sudden I see him go by, and I'm scoping in my thermal, and I see a little dog run past, which I think at that time his dog just jerked away from him and got loose and ran by the house. And then he comes around there and tells me that my little one had crawled through the fence and was trying to get his dog. Not trying to be aggressive, but running up to it. And here I am trying. I had to jump the fence and go grab him, and I'm just like, but the same thing. If that would have been a big dog on the loose and he done that,
Right.
you know, ah,
So, well, I'm on the out on the I'm on the lookout, and I mean, it's right now. I have to carry my dog outside to go potty. He's having a hard time. He
lay
can
your
walk, but it's very slow, and his ribs and everything are so probably sore, if not fractured.
if you
So when I pick him up, he cries, and
right,
but I take him outside. He's not going potty in the house still, so he's got that will.
right,
So he does go outside. But I was more concerned. I needed him to eat. I didn't want this to go on for days and days and days where he's just laying there, and then he starts losing weight, and that makes it difficult for him to heal. So what I did was, I have his food, and I took some beef broth and poured it on the beef broth and mixed it up really well, and he seemed to like that, and he ate. He's drinking a lot of water though. He does drink a lot of
that,
water. Which
that's good though. You
yeah,
know,
so he's
uh,
hydrated. It's just a matter. I think it's just time. I mean,
well,
I feel,
what you can do though, because kind of where I know you said he had a vest on, so that may have helped some, but it probably had him around kind of right on the shoulder blades of the first, kind of back behind that a little bit.
yeah,
And if you can, just when you get time, sit there and gently put your hand on his rib, and every time he breathes, just listen and feel if there's any bubbling or gurgling, because sometimes that, they can puncture a lung doing that.
yeah. Oh, trust me, John. Most days I carry all the time, but you just don't think I'm going to carry my dog at 6 o'clock in the evening, just for a walk in the area. But
And into that,
um, yeah. But
uh,
definitely got the cattle prod coming tomorrow, so I'm excited about it, man. I'm hoping this thing steps out because I need some retribution.
yeah,
So, but other than that, I mean, it was a good week. I don't know if anybody. I mean, I want to clarify this really quick. Is I know a lot of people friend request me on Facebook. Okay, they know my name. They look me up and they friend. And I've got about probably 100 of them that I have not accepted. And the reason is my Facebook is my with my name is my private one. That's where I keep track of. I don't really post a lot on there. Some political stuff or some different things, some funny stuff or something like that. But nothing Bigfoot related at all.
right.
Zero. So
Anyway,
I encourage people that if you want to have a conversation with me about Bigfoot or anything like that, go to Bigfoot Florida Guy on YouTube or go to Sasquatch Unredacted. That's where those conversations be held. My Facebook, my regular name Facebook is mostly family and friends. There's some people I started to accept earlier on, but it just got out of control. And I was
yeah,
like, look,
I
I
wouldn't
can't
want that
continue
drama
to
on
do
my
this.
personal page.
Yeah, so I do have Facebook pages for my YouTube channel, so I really encourage people to go to those, and we can have all the conversations you want on Bigfoot. I just don't do it on the other one because I keep the two separated. But for those of you that want to look me up and look down my pages, I posted some really interesting things. I think you've seen them, Frank. These incredible lights in the sky while
Yeah,
I'm at work. I was going to download them and play them on here, but since it's a Bigfoot channel, not a UFO channel, I didn't do it. But if anybody wants to go there and look at those videos and give me an idea of what you think this is, very interesting. I've been seeing them on and off for about 2 weeks now. Finally was able to get my camera settings right where I actually caught them on film. So if y'all want to go back and look at those, give me an idea, drop me a message and say, hey, Rick, this is what I think it is or whatever. I'll give you I give you some guys some information too because I'm an investigator. I look at certain things. Where I'm located, I'm looking northwest, and that's where these lights are at. So everybody knows I live in Sebring, Florida. So if you're in Sebring or if you find it on a map and you go northwest, um, it I don't think it's far enough to be Cape Canaveral because that's 200 miles away. Even though I can see rocket launches very easily, but it's in that direction, going in that direction. So I don't know what it is, but if anybody wants to check that out,
You know
so
what's funny is after you showed me that, I've been watching a lot of different stuff, and one of them, it's about UFOs and stuff. But one of the videos that it showed was the way the lights were going, and like almost like a rotating, or how
yeah.
you're they
Well, this
were.
is. I know I sent you that one that would look. Me and you were talking about. It looked like it rotating. This is different.
Oh,
I
I've
don't know if
not
you've
seen.
seen the new stuff. This is different. This is
No.
new. This is up in the sky where, like, there's a light,
Uh-huh.
and then it'll dim out, and then another light, and it'll dim out, then another light, and it'll dim out. It's really interesting. If not, I'll send it to you directly, Frank.
Yeah, I'll send you the
When we get off the show tonight.
if they match because I had some stuff here happen above the house, and
Now,
uh,
from my location, Seminole. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, Seminole. I meant northeast. I'm sorry,
yeah. When you
northeast.
said northwest, I said,
Uh,
man, if
yeah,
they could.
northwest is McDill. Yeah, that's my fault. And once you said that, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, you're right. I meant northeast. I'm looking north, northeast, northwest, that direction when I see these lights. So thank you for that because it did correct me, Seminole. McDill is northwest of me, absolutely. So, but it very interesting. So if you go to, because I think you're on my Facebook, my regular Facebook, my name Facebook, um, but it's on there. So if you want to look at those videos, very interesting. That's all I can say. I'm at work, so I have a clear view all around me for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. I have clear view. There's nothing blocking my view. Um, so that's what I said, Seminole. Not a lot between me and these lights, but I want to assume the lights are about 20 miles away, is what I'm assuming. So, but yeah, check it out, Frank, if you get a chance. If not,
Yeah,
when we get off the show, I'll send it to you,
I'll
and
find that
then
one. I'll find that one video because it looks the way it's moving, the way the lights are doing looks, but it's up in the sky, where yours was a little lower, uh, but it's doing the exact same thing.
yeah, this is balls of light. Like whatever they are, they're pretty large. They're pretty far away, and sometimes there's three or four. Sometimes it's just one. And they don't last long. They don't last long at all. And I
Uh,
thought, I'm an investigator. I'm like ball lightning or something, something out of the ordinary. But it's been in the same exact area, on and off for 2 weeks now. So that's weird.
yeah.
So, well, I don't want to go too much further. Tonight we have a great guest. His name is Mike Martin. Mike is somebody I met at the Bigfoot conference this year. Really great guy. He's from Florida. He's outside the Sarasota area, I believe. And he had. This is what makes this interview really good. Was he had his Class A sighting only a year and a half ago, so it's fairly fresh in his mind and stuff like that. So when Mike comes on, I'm going to encourage him to be as detailed as possible, as much as he remembers, because we got nothing but time. This show is about Mike and listening to Mike's encounter. Um,
Mhm.
so you know, we'll get into that, and he can tell us about himself and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember Mike. He was wearing a Ohio Buckeye shirt, and I told him, I said, send me an email or something if you want to be on the show, and just remind me you're the Buckeyes guy. so so no further ado, I'll bring Mike on. Hey,
Yeah,
Mike.
I still got. Good to see you, Frank, Richard.
Hey, Mike.
I've got my Ohio State shirt on still, and this is what I was wearing when I had my sighting. So I thought I'll wear that again today. So, but
Oh, it's your good luck shirt.
it is. It is.
I bet you like the Wolverines, don't you?
I can't stand them. I hate them. I can't think of anything else I hate more than the Wolverines.
I'm an SEC guy, but once all the drama was happening a few years ago and football became political,
Yeah.
I strictly only watch the Army Navy game now because there's no
Well, it's
political
good
there.
game.
Yep. So, and I'm a Navy guy, so.
My dad was in the Navy.
I'm an Army guy, and our team sucks. So
They did last year. They've had some good years, but they did. Air Force
Yeah.
is the one I never really 100% have to worry about.
Yeah, well, but I'm saying usually against Navy, y'all have the main football team.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
I am 75 years old. Just turned 75.
Very nice. 75 and looking good, healthy.
Look good. Yeah, you look
I'm
good.
retired. Been retired for about 30 years now, and
You've
moved
been,
to Florida.
wow.
Moved to Florida the second I could because I love it down here and always have.
Where'd you live at in Ohio?
I was from just outside of Columbus. As a matter of fact, we're only about 70 miles from Salt Fork, and we used to go over there fishing all the time. I've been in fishing tournaments over there, and back then it was early 80s. There was no mention of a Bigfoot over there, and they've had several sightings, I guess, but nobody ever said anything about that.
Yeah, Salt Fork is considered now the hot spot for the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Right.
And I went up there last October. Last October, I was there for a few days camping out at Salt Fork and doing an investigation. Beautiful area, amazing. What I did not realize, because I'm born and raised Floridian, everything in Ohio is uphill. So it made it affordable. Everything was uphill. I had that many hills and ridges and.
Well, that part of the state, there are a lot of hills and everything, but it's funny. You get west of Columbus, and it's flat out cornfields, as flat as it can be.
Yeah.
Until you get over to Dayton, and then it starts getting rolling hills again.
I lived in Dayton for maybe a year or two when I first got married and started having kids, and I wish I would have been into this then, and I really wish I would have been into this when I lived in Kentucky, but Ohio gets cold, man.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
That's exactly why I'm here.
Yeah, it's cold up there.
You get in a cold
Yeah,
car.
I was a
Huh?
I
was a Publix. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a delay between us. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I remember, I think it was like 2008. My wife, she's from Chicago, so we was going from Dayton to Chicago, and it was terrible. You couldn't get above 40 mile an hour because the roads from there all the way there was ice, and they was probably like 200 wrecks. It was terrible. It took us probably 12 hours, and I hated it. I mean, I love the snow, but that's, I don't like being on the interstate with them being that froze.
Well, there's times up there you can't even get your car warm.
So Mike,
yes. Go ahead.
So let's get into your encounter. Let's about getting into it. Where this was at, and go into your story. Tell us what happened.
Well, when I was a kid, I never even heard of a Bigfoot till I was a little bit older, and I was in high school, and this first time I'd really even heard of it, they had an article in, I believe, Life magazine, and they had the Patterson-Gimlin still photos in there. And I remember sitting talking to my best friend. I said, "Hey, look at this." And at the time, we questioned whether it was even real or not. And then I never heard another thing about it for years and years and years. But then we moved down here, and it was around Thanksgiving time. It was Thanksgiving Day, as a matter of fact. And I've always liked deer. And I was at my my son Grant's house for Thanksgiving. And when we came in, there was a few deer walking around the house. And so I thought I would go outside, and I put my keys down and my phone down just to walk outside and look at the deer, because it wasn't, they didn't have food ready. So when I walked out there, I saw the deer, and they ran down into a kind of a corner where two fences came together, and it jumped over the fence, the deer did. And so I walked down there to see where it went, and couldn't see it. It was gone. So I turned around and started to walk back up toward the house. And for some reason, I don't know, I heard something or I just turned around and looked maybe to see if there was another deer. And I turned around and there was this Bigfoot standing there looking at me. And he was totally black as he could be, except for his face. Just right around, I could see his conical forehead and around his face. And it wasn't black. It was like a dark suntan. And you could see its eyes, and they weren't white and they weren't yellow. It was kind of an amber is the best way I can describe it. But I knew it wasn't going to be there very long. So I was standing next to a big elm tree or a big oak tree, and there were branches coming down from the tree. And I thought, most important thing, I got to get this and get it quick. I got to figure out how tall this is, because that's going to be the first thing somebody's going to say. Well, how big was it? And so I had, where the branch was coming down, there was some palmetto plants on the other side of it. So there was some kind of heavy grass there. So I stomped my foot in the ground so I would know exactly where I was standing, and then looked through the limb coming down and right to the palmetto plant so I could know exactly how tall it was. And as it turned out, I went out 5 days later to measure it with put my hand up where it was and got a height on it. But it never moved, not one bit. Never moved, never blinked. I never saw it blink. And it stayed right there. I couldn't hear it making any noise. And it was so quiet. I don't ever remember my life ever being that quiet, except I was at Carlsbad Caverns, and we were down, I don't know, way below ground. And the ranger said, this will be the one and only time in your life probably that you will hear it'll be total silence. And that was as quiet when I saw him as it's been since then. So anyhow, like I say, I turned around several times to make sure I was getting the right measurement on it. And the last time I turned around and walked not more than 3 steps, turned around and gone. I just totally gone. And I thought, how did that disappear so quick? And I thought, I don't believe in magic. I just don't believe in magic. And, but I just kept watching, and finally nothing happened. And so I started backing out of there. And I think about 1 million things go through your mind when something like this happens. But I could also see on his chin, it had whiskers coming down. And I was close enough to see that on the very end of his whiskers, there was gray, about 1 inch of gray. And I did, like I say, I went back later and measured it, and I was about 50 feet from him. And he was standing behind a palmetto plant, had his arms down to the side, so I couldn't see his hands, but I could see back from his elbows on up. But massive. I couldn't believe how big shoulders were. Gosh, I don't want to say 4 feet, but it's a lot wider than my shoulders. And to guess a weight on it, I wouldn't. I could say 600 pounds, and it could be 700 or 800 pounds, but I don't want to embellish. I don't want to embellish that, but I would say in the 600-pound range. And height-wise, I went back with my son and took pictures. I raised my hand up and had him take pictures so I could see about how high it was. And he came back to 7.5 to 8 feet tall. And if I had to guess, I would say closer to 8 feet tall. But I've had people ask me, say, gosh, my wife asked me, she said, weren't you scared? And you had to evaluate it so quick. It was non-aggressive. Like I say, it didn't make a sound, it didn't move, and it just stayed right there, which allowed me to be able to walk back and forth without running away. Of course, I never would have been able to run away from that thing if I had wanted to. But it was just, I'm thinking, why me? Why did this happen to me? And I was, the second thing I thought of, first thing was, why did this happen to me? But the second thing was, I'm not telling anybody. And I don't know why that hit me, but I'm saying, I'm not telling anything, because I thought it was such a neat thing to see. I didn't want people coming up and going around my son's house, and they still don't know where it is. But there's only people who know where it is my immediate family. But it hooked. I can say it hooked right onto Mayaca State Park. So you only had to cross
You
the
know,
river. Go ahead.
and when we talked, and you brought that up, um, even the most famous Mayaka Skunkape photo, which was the one that little old lady had done, where it was stealing apples or whatever from her
Yeah.
porch. These are all areas that are not in Mayaka, but up to Mayaka.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It's on
Yep.
the fringes
Mm-hmm.
of Mayaka.
Well, I may have glanced at those pictures one time, but then after I had my sighting, I was looking through something and I saw that and I'm going, that's just about what I saw. It's really close to what I saw. So, but
Well, and that's what we were talking about. I've only been to Mayaka State Park once, but that's a place that I'm really interested in. I'm kind of like, I don't think they go through Mayaka unless they're just shooting through or chasing deer, or maybe I don't think they stay in the park. I think there's too many people in the park, but I think all the reports and stuff that you see, it's just like what Richard said. It's right on the outskirts of it. So I think they stay around there and then just cross through when they need to, or maybe go over and get some food and come back. Because there's a bunch of deer and wildlife in there, but I feel like there's a lot of people that go in there, and I'm not saying that they're not in there. I'm just saying, as far as like where they bed down and stay all the time, I just think that they wouldn't. There's people that do the geocache.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really populated area, so I definitely believe that they're staying on the outskirts, uh, and I think that's you were in a prime location from what I've read and researched and study on. Like uh,
And not only that, all the surrounding area that's not even Mayaka Park is forested and open and cattle fields with forest in them. It's a very, very large area. If you
right,
drive, I would have to come from Arcadia to get to Mayaka and go through Arcadia, and then I think it's called 72, but I get on 72 or something like that. It's desolate. I mean, it's nothing but cattle fields and forest and stuff like that. So
and I
plenty of
believe
space for one of these things. Plenty of
and I
space.
believe you can go. If I'm remembering it right, I'd have to look at the state, but I believe I've looked at it before where you know there's a way for it could connect from down there and go up through Green Swamp, and go and move. There's a lot of ways in the there's a travel way in that
Yep.
area. I
Well, and I've looked at it because this Central Florida is my main research area. I can get if I was back in the old days where you had to walk everywhere or maybe a horseback or something like that. I can literally get from my current research area to Mayaka and never be seen. Nobody would
right,
ever know I was there.
right, and
yeah,
that's
there's so much woods everywhere. If you I pulled up a map of Florida and it showed all the woods and everything. But
right,
a lot of people don't realize how big Mayak is. It's
yeah,
58 square miles. That's
mm,
huge.
yep,
Yep.
But
It
I
is
think a lot of people
massive.
don't realize how big Florida is. Florida is,
right,
guys, from Pensacola to Key West. It's what I looked it up today, and it was 700, almost 800 miles from
yeah.
Pensacola to Key West.
I know how long it is. I drive it too much.
You do
It
know
drives
that.
me crazy. I hate driving the state
Well,
of
I
Florida.
mean, you look at the Florida Trail, which starts all the way down in South Florida, goes all the way to North Florida, and that's 1,400 miles
Think
of
of that.
trail, and it's all through woods.
Right. Yeah, I've talked to people that don't believe they're down here, but I'm like, dude, there's way too many reports. There's way too many people, just like your encounter, and they're definitely in Florida. And I think there's quite a few of them in here in Florida myself. But uh, so, did you do you think that might have been trying to sneak up on the deer?
Oh, well, there was plenty of deer around. I think so. I think
Yeah,
so because
and it
when I
just
walked down into the corner where the fence was,
mm-hmm,
he actually was pretty much between me and the house. And right where he was, there's there like a farm fencing, and it had barbed wire across the top, and you could see where deer had jumped across there, and there was a lot of deer hair on the barbed wire. So, and that's right where he was sitting, right there. So he was going after the deer, I think.
Right.
But, and this wasn't a full grown deer. It was buck, and it just had little nubs on its head. So
right.
And I don't know whether that's deer season. I know in Ohio, deer season was always around Thanksgiving. And I don't know when deer season is down here. I would assume it's probably the same.
Well, it ends a little earlier, but that's still in deer season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like I said, my son Grant told me that right there at the corner of the house is where they all bed down, and he said they'll stay there, and then all of a sudden they'll get up and run away. But they're there all the time, so could be the reason it was there.
Has he ever said he's heard anything?
No, he's a stay-at-home dad right now, so he doesn't go out and around outside very much because he does have 3 kids. But that was one of the first things I told my wife. I said, when I didn't tell anybody for like 5 days. I mean, I didn't tell anybody. And I thought, who's going to believe me here? So I got my daughter, Casey, and I went over and I said, Casey, I got to tell you something. And she says, what? And I started telling her the story, and she was just, eyes were glued on me. And I said, do you believe me? She says, Dad, you had too much detail to tell a lie. You wouldn't have that much detail. And the way to tell somebody's lying is you keep asking that question over again and have them tell a story a few more times. They don't remember a lie. And
well, let's get into that. Let's talk about the detail. Tell us as much deal as you can about the face.
Okay, the nose was pushed in. It never opened its mouth that I could see the teeth. It had more of a monkey type nose, pushed in, or like a pug nose. It never blinked one time when I was looking at it. Like I say, you couldn't see the teeth. It was black, jet black. The hair was 3 to 4 inches long. Like I say, his eyes were amber colored, kind of a yellow, whitish color.
Mouth pretty big. It had like a bigger mouth.
Yeah, it had a big wide mouth, and there was no hair. You could see the conical forehead, and like I say, around you could see its whole, pretty much its whole face, and then of course it had hair out to about right here, and it reminded you of an orangutan as far as it had hair on the side that went back. Trying to think what else here.
Because that segues into some pictures that I have. Okay. And I just got these. That's why it kind of segues in, because somebody had taken these pictures in one of the research areas that I go to in Central Florida. Mm-hmm. And I've camped out there. I've had some encounters out there. Some of my own personal encounters have been in this actual location. And there's a person that I had ran into that hikes out there quite a bit and does what I do and kind of gets off the beaten path and hikes and stuff. And we had gotten in a conversation, and I said, have you ever ran anything weird, like a sound or anything like that? And they're like, well, not really. But I have heard some things, and they pointed in this one direction that, was loud, and they didn't know what it was, which I've got audio recordings of what this guy was describing. Anyways, so I gave him my information. I said, look, if you ever come across anything, let me know. Send it to me. Mm-hmm. And he did. So, and this is somebody I have not spoken to in a while. And they kept the card. I guess it was important enough that they looked me up, and they sent me these pictures. So I want to send you these pictures. This is what they took just recently in Central Florida at one of the areas that I go into. And I'm bringing these up because these are recent. Your sighting is fairly recent, and I want to know if this is what we think it is. If it is a skunk ape, and I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
If it is, I want you to tell me, does it resemble what you saw?
Okay. One thing before we get to that, you were talking about sounds. And after I saw it and it disappeared, I started backing out of there because I didn't want to turn my back on it. But as I was backing out, I heard this whirling sound. And I thought, what in the heck is that? And I look up and there's a big drone coming right over top of my head. And it wasn't like your little drone that people go by at the Hobby Lobby or someplace like that. This thing was, oh gosh, it had to be 3.5, 4 feet across. And,
oh, wow.
And it went right over top of my head and went right over to where this Bigfoot was standing. And then I lost sight of it because there was, like I say, big oak trees all around. But
yeah, I want to come back to that. I definitely want to come back to the drone thing.
Wow.
Okay.
That's wild.
So here's the original photo. Now I'm going to show you guys 2 pictures, okay? The first one is the picture that the person sent me, okay? So I'm looking at it, and I see what they're looking at. It does look absolutely interesting. I'm like, okay, I get this. Okay, I see what they see. I'm one of those ones that I can see pareidolia, but I recognize it as pareidolia. See what I'm saying? So I'm not easily fooled. But I'm looking at this thing, and I can see what they're seeing, but I don't know. So what I did was, the second picture I'm going to bring up is I put it through my AI program to say, hey, zoom in on this particular area, clear it up, and I basically let it kind of fix the photo a little bit to give me a better aspect of it and stuff like that. I'm not going to tell y'all what ChatGPT said it was, okay? But it's very interesting. So here's the first picture. This is the picture that was sent to me, okay? So you look dead center, okay? And I wish I could zoom it in, but StreamYard won't let me zoom it in. But that's okay. We got the second picture.
Like a face.
Yeah, it definitely, I see a conical head. I see a brow ridge. It's like something is kind of ducked down in the tree.
Definitely dark.
It's definitely darker than everything around it, and it looks like it's facing the person taking the shot. Okay, so it's a very interesting photo. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, I see what would look like a conical head. I see what would look like a brow ridge. I see what looks like a nose, a possible bulbous mouth, and stuff like that. So I get it, and it was interesting. And I told them I'm thankful that they remembered me and was able to send me the picture. Here's the second one that AI. I have done nothing other than submit the photo to AI. I didn't do any adjustments myself. This is the picture it came up with.
Yo, that's wild.
So I don't know. I see a conical.
It's got really wide shoulders, and I can't tell, but I could definitely see where it would come down to the waist. It was a real V. I mean, you could see the big chest, and it would come down to a V. As far as the picture of the face, the area that you see where you actually see the skin, it's, I don't know, a dark tan like I was describing.
Right, not the same color, but
right.
But did the face kind of similar to that, but just a dark tan?
Yeah.
Does that resemble anything that you saw, Mike?
Yeah, except for one thing, where it has the hair on the forehead. This you could see the conical head much better. There wasn't near the amount of hair on the forehead, and back clear up to about halfway up on its head. Now, whether it was an older one, and it definitely was there were no breasts, so I assume it was a male. But like I say, and there we go again. You see, there's a lot of hair right up there in front, and the one I saw didn't have a lot of hair, and you could actually see skin.
And I'm like you. I'm not big on the pareidolia thing. Like, I recognize pareidolia as pareidolia. Like, I see what somebody can say and say, oh, but it don't mean I believe that's what it is.
Right.
My question is, I guess what I'm thinking is, yes, it's dark. There's definitely a dark, whatever it is, there's definitely a dark subject or whatever just in that spot. I can make out the face and see why somebody would say it. But my question would be, if you just put this through AI and said, sharpen it up or tell me what you think this is, or whatever it was, and you didn't do nothing else to it. Why would AI pick that up and make it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unless
because
it's picking something up.
right,
I don't
and
know
that's
much
what made
about
it
AI.
interesting. Is
Right.
I sent that picture right there. I sent the original picture, and said, "Could you please clear this photo up?" I didn't say anything other than, "Can you, clear it up a little bit?" Because the guy didn't have, fancy. I have a really fancy phone that takes really spectacular photos.
Right.
Um, and um, and then when it came up with the second photo, I said, "What is that?" Just a simple question. What is that? It
Right.
literally came back and said that it looked like a primate, is what it said. It looked like some level of a primate, but it would not give a definitive answer because it did not know the location or the hemisphere or whatever in which this picture was taken. So if it was taken in Africa, it would be a different story. But if I said this was in Florida,
Right.
it might have said something else. But it said it looks like a primate.
Right.
I do look at it, and I see what they're looking at. I see a conical head. I see a brow ridge. I see
Right.
deep, dark set eyes. I see a nose with a hood. I see a bulbous mouth, you know what I mean, area and stuff like that. So I see what they're seeing. Is
Hmm.
it? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
right.
not sure.
I'm
The
not
one I
So
the one I saw as far as the mouth goes, you know how they say somebody's got a camel mouth or a monkey mouth. This had
Mhm.
more of a monkey mouth, where its bottom chin went out past his upper teeth. So, and that one didn't look like that was like that, but quite similar. But there are some differences in what I
See,
saw and that one there.
I just see. I have pictures on my phone that people have sent me and explaining this is what they saw, and to me it looks like pareidoia, and you know I don't want to be rude or to anybody or anything like that. People can see what they want to see, but for me it looked like pareidoia. But I bet if I took those pictures and sent them through the same thing, it wouldn't pick up the way that one did, and that makes me question, like, is that, like, why would it, I guess, why would AI do that? I don't know much about it, but it makes me believe that something had to be there in order for it to pick it up. Otherwise,
right. It
it wouldn't.
definitely singled it out as something separate than the forest around it.
Right.
Um, but like I said, very interesting. I don't know. Um, I was going to get out this weekend. That was my priority this weekend, and I was going to go to that location because I know exactly the area. Me and this person had a very long conversation on the phone about it,
Hmm.
and I was going to go out there, but of course my dog's injured. I did not want to leave my dog alone. He needs my care. I mean, he's laying right here beside me as we speak. Just laying there. Um, but I want to go back. I want to look at that area. Um, Very interesting, and that's why it was really interesting to have you, Mike, because we've had a conversation on the phone. You described what you saw, that it was more ape-like. It had a bulbous mouth, and stuff like that. And I wanted to, like I said, you know, did this thing that this person sent me around the same time me and you were talking?
Uh,
Did it resemble each other? See what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. Like I said, when I first saw it, I thought, I'm not telling anybody. And you're only the second person outside of my immediate family that I told this story to. And I wasn't going to tell anybody. But you
Right.
just happened to be standing there when I went over to the convention, and uh, you had your shirt on with the Bigfoot and everything. I thought, I'm going to run this by him just to see what he says. And
Hmm.
you were very receptive to it. And I was glad you were.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, this is what we do. You know, even out
We've
of
all been
500,
ridiculed.
yeah,
Uh,
even out of 500 videos that I filmed in the woods myself, I never claim anything. I try to keep an open mind and just let the viewer look at it and decide. And it's the same with these pictures. As interesting as these pictures are, I still won't give my thumbprint on it. For one, I was not there, so I can't give my thumbprint on it because I was not there. But this person is to me is a very truthful person. Um,
right.
But again, that only goes so far with people. I don't know him personally,
Right.
um, but I just know that this person has not contacted me in well over a year, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, it was important enough that this person sent it to me and said, "Hey, what do you think?" and stuff like that. And I did go over all this. I did the AI. I sent it back to him. What he does with it, it's up to him. If he wants to claim what it is, I don't care. But I did tell him that I was going to bring it up on the show and I was going to show it and let people look at it. So very interesting. That's all I can say. It's very
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. The two main things that stand out for me about it is there's definitely something dark there, and the fact that AI picked it out.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a coincidence that maybe with Bigfoot being a thing right now, maybe it just done it, but who knows? Still, it's interesting.
Yeah,
How
and this
far?
is one of the areas that me and you have just talked about, Frank.
Mhm.
That I want me and you to get together and go out to. So maybe we'll
Oh,
do it our own investigation and figure it out and see what we come up with. You know what I mean?
yeah. From where you was standing when you turned and seen it, and maybe you said it, but in the direction that you assumed that it may have went, how far was the distance between the wood line or whatever and where it was?
Well, and I forgot to get to that part also. I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
It was standing right along the fence, and
Mhm.
that fence has been there forever. I mean, those old farm fences last forever. I know we
Right.
have one in my dad's side yard, and gosh, it was there when I was a little kid, and it's still there. But
Right.
um, and that's what threw me off on how tall it was because um, over the years, the fence was there, and after I went down and looked at it, water had run down along that fence line. There was a driveway on the other side, and water evidently throughout the years had come over down that little hill and had washed kind of a trough down in there.
Right.
And it was at least a foot and a half, maybe even 2 feet deep, and I didn't realize that until I went back 4 or 5 days later. And I stood in there. When I stood in it, my head didn't even hardly stick out. And then I stood up out of the ditch, and my head, of course, you could see me pretty well then. But uh, it just, it's
Let
just,
Let me ask you something, Mike. All right, and I'm asking this on behalf of Frank as well.
okay.
What are the chances of me and Frank taking a road trip and you taking us there?
Oh, I'd take it. I'm sure it'd be okay with my son Grant, and we could do that. We can do
Yeah.
that.
Well,
And I think there's a lot of other places around there to look, like Mayaca. You can start at Mayaca and walk all the way up to that one road that crosses over into it. But I don't think my son would mind. If he's on there right now, send us a message, Grant. Let us know if you'd mind. I don't think he would.
well, hey, all I ask is one thing, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
all I ask.
Okay.
That no matter what, whoever reaches out to you, we're first. Me
You
and
are.
Frank are first.
You showed the interest. You
Okay.
are. I won't take anybody else out there or even talk to anybody else about it because there's really not a whole lot more I can say about it than pretty much
Now,
what
I
we.
don't mind you doing other podcasts and talking about it and stuff like that, but I don't
Right.
want anybody else
Yeah.
until me and Frank,
Yeah.
especially Frank being a part of the BFRO,
Uh-huh.
okay,
Yeah.
and he can do a legitimate report for you for the BFRO,
Okay.
If that's
and
something that you want.
and then I'll come out with Frank and document it. That's all I'm going to do is document, and you know, I just want to know that we got dibs. We got
You do.
dibs.
You got my word on it. You got first dibs on it. So
No, I appreciate it. I'm I do a lot of camping and stuff, and I love being in it. And I want to do. I got to hit Florida up a lot more than I have been. And I travel a lot and go out of state, but I got to get into Florida, and I plan on. I already, weeks ago that this the rest of this year and throughout now, I'm gonna start getting in the woods a lot more and actually camping. It's hard to camp down here with as hot as it is all the time.
mosquitoes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
tough.
but I just got to figure out. I'll either sleep in the bed of my truck or whatever. But uh, I definitely want to hit a lot of these places up, and that would be absolutely awesome because
We could do that.
Well,
yeah,
Frank, let's talk.
yeah,
On our during the week, and we'll plan something where what we can do is, if you want, because I what highway I live on. It's a direct shot back to where you live. Come up here,
hmm
and then we'll go out to this research area where this guy took this on a Saturday, and
right,
then turn around on Sunday, go to Mike's. See what I'm
yeah,
saying? Kind of knock it all on the weekend if you want to. I know it's a lot of travel
yeah,
time for you, but I'll drive to Mayaca in my vehicle, and you can leave your
yeah,
vehicle, here, and then we come back. Then you
yeah.
can, drive back to South
Trust me,
Florida.
after going so far north, that seems like a short trip.
Well, you know,
I'm definitely,
Yeah,
hey,
they
I'll
got
definitely do that.
they got campgrounds there
yeah.
at Mayaca. We could get a place. I got an RV that's big enough for all three of us to stay in if you'd want to do
Sweet.
something like that.
Well, if we did something like that, then we would forego my area and just go straight there, and like early Saturday. Like if Frank got here, let's say at 3, 4 in the morning, then we would load up and then drive from here to Mayaca, and
Mm-hmm.
then and just spend Saturday to Sunday, and then come back or something like that.
That'd
Yeah,
work. I'm
you know.
retired. I don't have a life now. I don't have anything else to do. So,
Well, let me
Well,
ask
I
you
work,
this:
so I have to be at work on Monday. So
okay.
since this experience happened to you, has it got you hooked into the Bigfoot world?
Before I never even thought about going out and looking, but
Right,
I'll tell you, it really has an effect on you because you're thinking, why me? Why did I see this?
right,
Uh, was I chosen for some reason to see this? And it was almost a fluke that I even turned around and looked at it. And
right,
I'll tell you what, there's not a day goes by that I don't think about it. And I don't mean
yep,
for a minute or two. I mean, I could
right.
be laying in bed watching TV and think about it for a whole hour and not even know what I watched on TV. So
Right.
yep,
it
and
does
that is
affect.
that is common. That is
Yeah,
common. When people talk about how this thing affects you, see what I'm saying? It
Oh
does.
yeah,
You'll sleep at night, and that's all you can dream about. You know what I
yep.
mean? It does have a profound effect, and that's why when we talk to skeptics, and I'm sure Frank has talked to skeptics, and I've
oh,
spoken to many skeptics,
hmm
you can't take that emotional part away. How do
Yeah.
you
right,
explain that emotional attachment to what you saw? That when I had my encounter, dude, I don't think there was a day in 20 years I didn't think about it for a moment. In the
right.
beginning, that's all I thought about it. It haunted my dreams, my sleep, and everything. And so I get it. I absolutely get it.
Yep.
And you want people to believe you. You know what I mean? How do you prove you're not lying about something? I mean, I've racked my brain trying to think that. I told people I knew that, like my best friend, his name's Randy, and I told him right away, and he goes, Mike, I believe you. That's all. I believe you. We've been best friends for 50 some years, and I know you wouldn't even embellish it, any part of
Right,
that.
right.
So,
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you run into people that you got a few different groups, and when I first got into it and really started having stuff happen and researching it and all that, obviously I wanted to talk to people and prove to them that it existed. But then, you know, it would make me mad when people would just be, all crazy and stuff. And the part that made me mad, and I've got over it. I just learned to block it out, and just realize that you're not going to make everybody believe, and that's fine. But my issue with people is it. You should at least have the decency, if you don't believe it or have no interest in it, instead of jumping into the thing, being aggressive and being like, you're crazy, you've lost your mind,
yeah.
just just let them say what they say, and if you don't believe it, don't believe it, but don't be a prick about it.
Yeah,
And
I agree with
Yeah,
you.
it's
like,
amazing
there's
because
no
I'll talk to
problem
people.
with me not
Yeah,
believing
because
it. if somebody don't believe, that's fine, but don't be a prick about it,
I
because
think
then,
people
Yeah.
should be skeptical of it because there's hoaxers out there, you know?
yeah,
Oh, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
and 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 that's what I tell people is I was like, okay, talking to me and people that know me, I'm reasonable, I'm factual, I'm very precise, I'm educated. I think I speak very very well, and
way better.
it nothing crazy about me at all. But as soon as you say the words Bigfoot, all of a sudden you're crazy. How does that one little thing, when you know so much about me, but that one little thing makes me crazy? That you
Right.
can't take the majority of me and say, hey, I got to take this guy's full personality, his full, you know, everything I know about this guy and apply it to what he just told me and say, there's got to be something to it. See what I'm saying? There's got to be something to it. If he is bringing this up, and this is a logical, this is a person that is unbelievably honest, and even even the people in the chat room know I'm honest. There's no
Right.
filter on me. If I think it, I say it. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, I get it where you don't want to say something because you don't want people to think you're crazy. But if
Hmm.
people know you, like you said, they don't question you, Mike, because they know you and they know who you are as a person, and they're like, "There's no way." It's like it's the same with for I'll bring up Johnny Two Bears. When he tells me something, I automatically believe him because I know him at such a personal level that I
Right.
know he's not going to lie to me. See what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
But do I get lied to? Absolutely. I get lied to all the
Gosh.
time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And that's the thing too with me is just because I'm a BFRO investigator or just because I go out and do this stuff, I don't believe everything that people show me, and it's not no disrespect to them, but there's a lot of hoaxers. It's not that I don't believe them, but
Yeah.
I have to research it out myself, and that should. And I've said this before. For me personally, a Bigfoot, you should be able to rule everything else out, and then say, okay, well, that's a Bigfoot, and I know people they want to be like, oh, well, everything's Bigfoot, and they think that everybody that does this is that way. I'm a big skeptic on a lot of this stuff. It's not that I don't
Hmm.
believe that they're real because I know they are, but there's a lot of hoaxers, especially today with everything, and there's a lot of stuff that happens just naturally in the woods, as far as prints and stuff that you know can replicate stuff, and
Hmm.
so you got to really. For me, I have to really look at it and determine a lot of stuff before I just say, okay, and but then I have to take them at face value too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Well,
Well,
yeah, and that's because me and you are researchers. We're
mm,
looking for facts. We're forensic based guys. We're looking at what we can see, taste, smell, measure. We're looking for the forensic portion of this mystery.
right,
And like you said, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, you can go in the woods with a flashlight and scan it left to right, and you're going to see movement every single time.
right,
You're
yeah,
going to create shadows with your
yeah,
flashlight and see movement.
right,
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, something moved over there. That's not necessarily true. And we
right,
have to look at it. And you bring up a good point, Frank, is skepticism. Everybody should be skeptic. It doesn't mean you don't believe. Like you said, it
right,
doesn't mean you don't believe. But
mm-hmm,
and I've said this, and I haven't said it in a while, but I've said it in the past. Skepticism is a great thing because skepticism creates questions.
mm-hmm,
Questions create answers.
yep,
Okay, so you have to
yep,
go in it as a skeptic in what
mm-hmm,
you can disprove more than what you can prove.
right, yep,
well,
and
I'm at the
that's
point where I'm at the point where if you don't believe me, don't believe me. That's fine.
right,
I
and
I
it took,
know what I saw, and I got
yep,
like very first thing my wife said was, I said, I got to tell you something. And the look she gave me, it was like I just committed a homicide because she had no idea what I was getting ready to say. And I said, and then I told her, and she goes, "It was a bear." I go, "No, it wasn't a bear. I know what a bear looks. I've gone to the zoos my entire life. I know what a bear is. It was not a bear." But
right. And that's
I
that's
like I
that's
say,
a lot of the common answers people will give as a bear, but people that's been in the woods know the difference,
yeah,
like,
Well,
and
anybody, you can take a child into the
yeah,
woods and they know what a bear is,
yeah,
but
hmm,
they also know what something is that they can't identify. A
yeah,
when
child
bears
can
are
do
up
that.
on
A
their
child
hind
can.
leg, they
Yeah.
move a certain way, and they don't stay on their hind legs very long, and it's very
No.
rare. I mean, they'll scratch and climb and stuff, but I mean, when they stand up, it's mainly to dart forward for 5 to 6 steps, and then they're back down. And it's you would totally be able to tell the difference,
Yeah.
and especially one you sit there and you said it stared at you for a pretty good minute, and a bear's not going to do.
It was close to 45, 30, at least 30 to 45 seconds. And I would say 45 seconds. And I'm thinking, man, I cannot believe this thing is not moving anymore. It is, and it's standing right there and didn't move at all.
Absolutely.
But
In the Bigfoot world, 45 seconds is a good sighting. That's a long sighting.
Yeah,
it was.
Sure.
That's how I got so much detail on it. I could actually stand there and look at it, and I got the right measurements and everything. But the biggest fear I got about whether I was going to tell anybody or not was all 4 of my kids played soccer. They all have kids now, and their kids play soccer. And basically, that's what our entertainment is. We go to soccer games all weekend long, pretty much year round. And I didn't want to be known as that crazy old grandpa that saw a Bigfoot.
Right.
That was one reason I was not crazy about telling people.
Right.
But,
my thing is about. I got one, and I'll let you get back to it. Sorry, I know I'm jumping in there. The gray that you mentioned at the bottom of it's about 1 inch long at the bottom of its beard. Do you think it was like did it look like it might have been an older one, or do you think it was just like that's just the way it was colored?
I think it was an older one. I really do think it was an older one because, I don't know whether they lose their hair the way older people do, but like I say, it's about the color of yours is
right.
But then right on the very end, maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch, it was gray all the way across, and then like I say, it's the conical head. It was balding up there. So whether they lose their hair when they get older, I don't know, but I would assume that's one reason I thought it was older.
I mean, I've read about the gray. I can't say that I've read about them losing hair. It wouldn't surprise me, but I have read about people talking about it had to be older because it had a lot of gray in it and stuff like that. And it sounds like honestly, it sounds like it was tracking those deer and probably didn't realize you was out there, and it was like, oh, hopefully they don't see.
Yeah. And something else I forgot to tell you was no smell. I didn't smell a thing. Nothing.
Right.
That's common. That's common.
Is it? Okay, because I didn't know that. I thought there was always an odor with them, but
yeah, we'll come back to that in just a second. But I want to get John's question there. He says, "Ask Mike if he's had any dreams of Sasquatch after the sighting," and we hit upon that earlier. No dreams.
No dreams at all. Not dreams.
Okay.
When
it comes to the smell, and this is just my theory, I do not know. I am no expert in this whatsoever. But you get a lot of reports, and I'm sure Frank's gotten a lot of reports, that there's no smell. There's just no smell. It's just a sighting. And this is just my theory is it's one of two things or both things. Either it's a defense mechanism that they because gorillas excrete a smell. They do have an area where they excrete a smell, and they can do this smell if they know you're there and they don't want you to come any closer, or both, or it's a hormone they send the smell out to attract a female or attract a male. I don't know if it's the male or females that are doing it or both. So it could be both or it could be one or the other. But I think the smell is not all the time. See what I'm saying? I just, there's a lot of reports that there's no smell.
I have read the thing. I either read it or heard somebody talking about it on that how gorillas do the glands, that they think that they may do the same thing, and it may be like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been to the zoo in the summertime, and boy, you can really smell the gorillas. It's all you can do to stand around there and just watch them for a little bit.
I've smelled those pheromone chips, and let me tell you, it smells like a bad football game, and everybody threw the jock strap in a paw, and you had to carry that thing out. It's pretty rough.
Well, it was quite an experience, and it was something just caught me totally by surprise. I mean, I've never ever really thought about ever seeing one, never went out looking for one, and really didn't. I figured that with as many sightings as there were, I know between Florida and California and Washington, there's been around 1,500 sightings. Mm-hmm. And you figure if 2/3 of them are no good, you still got 500 there. That there's got to be something to it, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, and that's always been the argument: is out of 10,000 sightings, how many are false? But there's always going to be that one that's real. Yeah. You can't discount all the sightings. You can discount quite a few, but you can't discount all the sightings. But I think what makes a sighting more valuable is the person that's giving their testimony on what they saw. See what I'm saying? Yeah. A person, their background, their everything about that person, their integrity, everything else plays a part in that story that they're presenting to you of what they saw. And that goes a long ways, especially as researchers. When I'm speaking to somebody, especially when they're present, we're standing 3 feet from them. We're watching body language. We're watching their eyes. We're watching how they're fidgeting or how they're doing something and stuff like that. If they're real casual, like no big deal, blah blah blah, there's a good chance they're not telling the truth because they're very comfortable telling the story. But if there's a little bit of nervousness, there's a little bit of anxiety or something like that, it kind of lets you know that there might be some truth to what they're saying because they're feeling some kind of emotional feeling towards what they saw. See what I'm saying?
Just ask the same question, just in a little bit different way.
Correct. And we do that.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my jobs in the past was I was an investigator for the prison system, and a lot of times I had to interview guards or inmates and stuff like that, and I would ask the same question at least 3 or 4 different ways to see if that answer was consistent through the investigation. But thank you, John. Yeah, John's a fan. He's a good guy. I look forward to seeing him every year at the conference and stuff like that. He's a good guy. But like I said, when you're doing an investigation, you have to be thorough. I have a great book. I give this guy all the credit in the world. And if anybody's not watching Squatch DTV, Steve Coles, I consider him a good close friend. He's a fantastic guy, fantastic researcher, and he has some great books. I have one on my shelf here. It is nothing but about how to investigate. And he comes from a background as a private investigator. Okay? And now he made the announcement this week. I'm going to let you read this one. It's a really good book on asking questions, investigating. Steve Coles.
Steve Coles. Okay.
Yeah, he's up in New York, outside of the Adirondacks. Fantastic guy. He has a show that he's on, I think, twice a week. It's called Squatch DTV, the Squatch Detective. And he's world-renowned. He's been on many television programs and different things. He's written a lot of books. You can go on Amazon and find his books. But I do have one that fantastic book. It's a good read, and it delves into how to investigate. This is a book for investigators, and I'll be gladly give as soon as you give me my book back, Frank. I'll give you this book. We'll swap again.
Yeah.
And it's a good book. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about that. I just got done reading a book about the Adirondacks, so I just that's another place, but I'll definitely be looking him up on Amazon. What do you think? What do you think when you seen the drone? Did you think it was a personal drone or maybe?
Oh yeah, we wanted to come back to that. Yeah.
When I saw what?
The drone.
Oh, it seemed awful weird at the time, because
Right. Just the
there
time.
was there was no noise, and like I say, it had disappeared, and it just um, all it did was just duck down behind the big bush that was there. I figured out later, but
Okay.
like I say, I was backing out, and I'm still looking around because I'm thinking this thing's going to come out from somewhere, and it was where my son had the grass mowed, and that's once I stepped back and I heard the whirling sound. There was that drone right over top of me, and I tried to follow it as much as I could, but with the big trees there, and it sounded like it stopped right over. It went right to where the Bigfoot was standing, and then I couldn't hear it anymore because that was probably 50, 60 yards away. So, and it didn't
How
move
high?
that.
Well, okay. So how much time from the time that it disappeared until the drone showed up? A
Oh,
minute?
25 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe. It wasn't very
that's
long.
yeah. See,
30 max, 30 max, because I only backed, I didn't back very far out of there, and 30 seconds max. So I don't know whether it had been seen in that area. That whole complex it's about 150 acres, and it's all fenced in. And I think somebody told me there was only like 15 houses in there, so everybody had a nice little chunk of acreage. And somebody else has seen that. I would love to have gone to those houses and people be honest with me and say, "Hey, what have you ever seen anything weird around here?" And because I see if I go out there and I'd only been out there 4 or 5 times and I saw it, somebody else had to have seen it out there.
Well, sorry, I just read. I wish I could read. The thing that gets me.
That's Icebox from Dirt Road Bigfoot Show, and I'm a co-host for his show on Sundays. So just letting y'all know, there's a show tomorrow night at I think 6:00 or something like that. So feel free to come through there. But I'm messing with him, He said, "Leave me alone, Richard." So I'm gonna post that he can't read, just to mess with him. This is that book. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. I'm running a background here.
Back it up.
I gotta.
There, I see a picture of a
But
Bigfoot.
this is Steve Cole's book.
Okay.
But it's called the Squatch Detective's Guide to Bigfoot Investigations. Not very big. It's a very thin book. Great read. Great read.
Awesome. Well, the reason I ask that is because, I've dabbled a little bit in the drones, enough to know one that size, you're paying quite a bit, so.
That was not a cheap drone.
Well, not only.
That's a drone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You're looking
you're talking probably $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for that drone.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So it makes me wonder if, maybe somebody spent the money on it, or was it government?
My thought was government. Right off the bat, not even a question about it. It was canned, and I thought government right away.
I've had my experiences with drones as well. And when a drone flew over my research area and we had an encounter with a drone, my area dried up. I mean, it just stopped.
Yeah.
There was a lot of gunfire that I caught on audio, because I was leaving audio out there. A lot of gunfire, a lot of shooting, and all of a sudden things just stopped. And I felt bad, and John brings up a good thing because he says, I really hope the drone people did not hurt the Sasquatch. I felt guilty after my drone encounter and then hearing this gunfire in audio, when I went back to review audio days later, because whoever was shooting went out there at 11 o'clock at night in the pouring rain, and it was hundreds of rounds. And all of a sudden, my area dried up, and I'm thinking, I took a lot of responsibility that if this is worst case scenario, that I was because I was doing a lot of stuff out there. I was posting a lot of stuff out there, and did I draw attention to what was going on? And the powers that be decided we're going to intervene, and then I costed the Sasquatch their lives or something like that. And I felt really guilty about that for a long time. But I was the same thing.
We just had a question up there. They hope the drone people didn't hurt the Sasquatch. there was no gunfire after that went over. It just kind of went. The noise kind of just went away. So,
Well, it also makes me think maybe it had already been running from it, to get away from it, and then happened to run up on you, and that's maybe why it stood so still, like, oh, but that drone had to be already on it,
yeah,
you know what I
probably
mean,
so.
to keep following it in that way. And I've seen like the Forest Service people out in Northern California, and they'll go out, and this was on the Go Road. They had got out, and they had one of those really big drones about the size that you were talking about that they was fixing to go fly up. So it makes me wonder about that too. Maybe it's like the where there's a lot of parks and stuff in that area, national forests or whatever. And that's why you can't tell me these people don't know.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
a lot of people they don't realize how big Florida is. And I just
right.
did some Googling this morning. Half of Florida they say is forest, and that's 26,812 square miles.
And a
Think
lot of that's in the,
almost 27,000 square miles of
yeah.
Florida is woods and forests.
Yeah,
You can,
and that's what I say. And a lot of it's in the center. There's quite a bit in the Panhandle, but along the center, it's pretty open.
you could
You
you
know.
could let herds of elephants out there, and you'd never ever see them. I wouldn't think.
Well, the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, I hunt, so
Yep.
I've looked up places, and I didn't even know this until I looked it up. But there's places like a kudu. It's a lot of money. I wouldn't pay it, but they have these animals from Africa here in Florida that instead of flying to Africa and doing it, you can pay like 20 grand here in Florida and go to somebody's property and shoot a kudu. And it's like, so there's a bunch of crazy animals out here,
Yeah.
and
We
but
we have an area here that's the same way. It's a
I
fenced
would have
in
never
area. It's a
guessed that.
good 10-foot
Yeah,
fence,
right,
and it's a hunting property for exotics.
It's a
right,
canned hunt.
yeah,
Is what canned hunt.
right,
But
because they can't get out of the fence.
I,
you
I
know,
never I never hunted in my life. When I was a kid, I got a BB gun for Christmas and shot a bird, and I darn near cried when I did. Of course, I was only 12 years old, but I've never
hey,
hunted, so and I couldn't
it,
kill any animals. I just
it it's still a touching thing. I mean, I've killed them and I still will, but it hurts. You're still taking a life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's not fun. I mean, I know some people love it. For me, I like to eat them, and other than that, I don't. I'm not putting them on my wall or nothing. But it's. But you're taking a life, so
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yep. I believe in killing something because I was an avid hunter for my whole life until I had an encounter, and it fed my family. It put meat on the table.
yeah, that's okay.
Um,
Yeah,
I wouldn't kill anything out of spite or sport or anything like that until my
yeah,
dog got attacked.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know what you
Well,
mean. Don't mess
yeah.
with our
now,
dog.
It sounds
now,
like
now I question that thought process a little bit.
it sounds like maybe that other dog deserves to die.
Well, like
uh,
I said, I look forward to my packages coming tomorrow because I will go for a walk with my dog with a smile on my face, begging this thing to come just so I can shock the crap out of him.
oh yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
that's a little sadistic. Now, now,
No,
now, now,
not
yeah,
what it.
now,
Not
now
after what it done.
v, the VA is gonna watch this and say, "Hey, Rick, we need to talk."
Yeah,
You got a Tuesday appointment.
I know something else I just
I
wanted
think
to
we need
say
to talk.
was
What's
they're out there. They are out there. You've seen it. They're
yeah?
out there, and I think that
Let,
there's just more and more people going out there and looking. Take your camera. I kicked myself because I didn't have my phone with me that day at Thanksgiving that I went out there. But take your camera everywhere. Even if you're just going to walk your dog down the road.
I
Take it
say
with
it
you.
right.
all the time.
Well, let me ask you
I
this.
say it all the time.
Yeah.
when you experienced that, was you just completely mind blown because you just experienced something that one you maybe didn't believe in or didn't exist, but not only that, but it opens up a whole new thing of possibilities. You know what I mean? To question.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
uh, well, like I told you before, I said, "Why me? Why did I see this?" And I'm going, "This is
Right.
just unbelievable." I felt almost honored I got to see it. But then I
Right.
started thinking, my next thought was, what does the government know? If
Yeah.
I'm out there and I see it, what does the government know? They got to
Right.
know a whole lot more than we do. And it
Oh,
got to
they
be,
do.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
They
they
do.
do.
There's a soft disclosure. We've brought it up in past shows, and maybe me and Frank will do another show on it. But I have documentation, literally
Mhm.
the actual paperwork from the 1970s, where the Florida House of Representatives
Yeah,
discussed the skunk ape.
yeah, you
You know
showed
what I
that.
mean? What to do about it, what to label it, blah blah blah. But there's also, which I have this documentation of, the was it Seminole? I forget which area it was, but there's a hunting regulation that specifically says in it there
Oh,
is
it's
no
Lower
taking
Swanee.
of skunk. Yeah, the Lower Swanee,
Yeah.
and that it when that broke, we broke
Yeah.
that years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
We broke that years ago, and we showed everybody. And I have it. I can look for it and bring it up if
I
y'all
got.
want to give me a
Oh,
minute. But it
yeah.
basically the Lower Swanee says in there is no taking of skunk apes.
Yep. It says no
So
taking.
why would the government, which hunting regulations is a government office, why
Mm-hmm.
would they put that in there? It's
Yeah.
protecting themselves.
I asked that question once to somebody that because that blew my mind when I first seen that because I was like, well, this is them admitting it, because
Yeah.
in California and other places there's documents and the old Army engineer handbook. They got a picture drawn out to the people that was training in that area, and uh, Sasquatch was one of them.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
people say, "Oh, well, they was just doing it as a joke." Same thing that I asked this guy that was in the Forest Service or FWC or something, and he was like, well, you got these Bigfooters out here, and they just want to." It basically it was in order to try to keep people from getting out there and trying to hunt and then shoot a bear or shoot somebody. But he tried to make it sound like it was not so much a joke, but he didn't believe that that's what it. They were saying something different than what they meant, and
Yeah.
I don't believe that. You're not going to put that on a
Well,
government page and it be
right,
fake.
and I can see why it's in the hunting regulations because if Frank goes out one time and he shoots and kills one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of a sudden they're gonna say this is the hunting regulations, and they can say, look, it's going to be $100,000 fine or 10
Yeah,
years in prison.
right.
So, but Frank, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the body and you're gonna shut your mouth,
Yep.
Yeah, I
and we'll
wouldn't.
call it even. See what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Yep.
right. Yeah,
I think it's in there for the reason of having control over the narrative of what this thing is and what's going on. Because I can tell you right now, if I shot one, which I'm not going to ever do, but if I
right.
did, and they came to me and say $100,000 fine and 10 years in prison, I am too cute for prison. So
Yeah.
I would probably keep my mouth shut. I would
Yeah.
probably keep my mouth shut. You know what I mean?
Uh,
There might be a slight negotiation where all of a sudden Frank sees me in a brand new truck and I'm not telling him how I got the truck. There might be some negotiation, but I would definitely. The government is a very powerful entity. So
yeah.
By a chance, and I forget where I heard this. It was some show. I'm sure you guys probably heard it. Um, when Mount St. Helens blew off, they
Yeah.
uh, they
Bunch of them
supposedly
burned.
took Bigfoot out of there, and they flew him out in helicopters, and they had burns, and then they flew him back in helicopters after they were healed up. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I've read
I've
it.
heard of it, but there's definitely two sides to that story. It's I won't get into it, but it's one of those things, kind of like the Patterson Gimlin film. You either believe it or you don't. There is a lot of evidence on both sides that did it happen or didn't it happen.
Uh-huh.
So I try to stick to what I know and what I can prove. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this whole new era of the Patterson Gimlin film with this documentary that just came out. Um, it doesn't. It's there was a great guy. I forget his name now. I want to say it was Munns, but he did a great
Bill Munn.
dispute of. Yeah, he did a great dispute of the documentary to show that it does not change the fact of the Patterson Gimlin film. Here's the bottom line is, I do not base my belief in Bigfoot on the Patterson Gimlin film.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay? I base it on years of investigating, years of talking to people, and stuff like that. I don't base it on a film back in 1960s. I just don't.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So, if you
but-
base your belief on Bigfoot on just that documentary and say, well, Bigfoot doesn't exist because of that, there's been hoaxers for a very long time. So if the Patterson Gimlin film is a hoax, it just adds to the list of hoaxers. But there is a lot of clear-cut evidence, clear-cut, that makes me say this is pretty awesome. You know, this thing does exist. Even Jeff Meldrum himself, God rest his soul, he literally said there is enough forensic evidence out there that warrants the money spent to investigate this,
right.
and that he truly believes that this thing does exist. See what I'm saying?
I never paid that much attention to the Bigfoot stuff that's out there on the Finding Bigfoot or whatever shows there are out there. I never watched them until I had my sighting, and my gosh, I couldn't watch enough of it. I had no idea there was that much evidence out there.
To go back to what you were saying about the Mount St. Helens, I mean, there's definitely material out there. I'm just saying it for yourself. You know, if you want to research it yourself, there's plenty of stuff to read about it, because I've read books about it and stuff, and it's interesting. You know, it's I kind of believe it did happen, but I think that, I guess, I don't know. You know, for me, it's like, it's just a specific subject to make up, you know. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't, but what I've read, it's interesting, you know. I've been this time of year where I'm not out down here as much because, you know, it's just hot. I do a lot of book reading and researching, just going through stuff, and I look back at now, and I'm reading books, The Abominable Snowman and stuff like that. That I remember as a kid watching Rudolph, never thinking of it being a Yeti or nothing like that.
Right.
You know, but then when you go back and read some of this stuff, I mean, this stuff's been around for a long time. And
you look at Eric Shipton, when he was in the Himalayas. I mean, he documented footprints. You know what I mean? That still have not been disproved to this day. Those prints have not been disproved. And this is an explorer. He's not looking for anything in particular. He's exploring. He's trying to get to the top of a mountain. You know.
Well, it got me interested in, when I got into that, it brought me to giants and stuff like that. And I bought a book that goes through all the giant skeletons and stuff that's been found through history, and a lot was found in the United States. And I mean, I think one of them was like 18 foot tall out in California, but a lot of them, like in Kentucky and stuff, was 10 foot, 12 foot, 8 foot, stuff like that. But it's like, where is all that stuff? They say it's in the Smithsonian, but apparently, but there's pictures of it and there's documents of it, but it's like, why are they trying to hide it?
Yeah, where is it?
I don't understand that.
Well, you got to understand the Smithsonian is a government agency. It's funded by the government.
Right.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It's not a public place. You can't walk into the Smithsonian and say, "Hey, I want to see this." See what I'm saying? It's a government funded place. So, but I've read the same stories where the Smithsonian collected all this stuff and then dumped them in the ocean.
I've read that too. And I seen where they was trying to get the Smithsonian to release all the stuff, and they're not. But my thing is, what would it do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would the harm be of showing you skeletons in the ground that you found? I mean, people see dinosaur
Hmm.
bones and they ain't freaking out. You know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal about showing giant bones? I don't understand it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure they have their reason, but I don't
It's
understand it.
it's funny that you bring that up because I won't delve into it
Mm-hmm.
on the person, but I had a conversation with somebody last week that, and this this is somebody very 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 close to me, that was a gold miner
Mm-hmm.
and was in the woods in an area where there's gold, and this person was looking for gold and found a giant skull and took pictures of it.
Right.
You know, so I'm waiting for those pictures.
That'd
But
be
this is somebody very 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 close to me. But
yeah.
here's where I draw the line when it comes to giants. Okay, first of all these people out there that keep saying that Bigfoot is from Nephilim and
Right.
giants are Nephilim and stuff like that. Okay, uh, first of all, the Book of Enoch is mythology. It's already been proven that it was a book of mythology. It was not biblical. They keep adding it and including it towards the Bible. It is not biblical at all. Two, if you read the Book of Enoch, at no point does it discuss any description that resembles a Bigfoot.
Right.
And but when you look at stuff like the Kandahar giant or the ancient giants that, like you said, are finding bones and stuff like that,
Right.
they do resemble
Resemble. Right.
descriptions. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they are two separate things. See what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And because they talk about how the Nephilim, the giants, and their offspring were leaders of men. They were kings. They were
Right.
warriors.
Well, yeah.
But there is
You know,
no history of Bigfoot ever being a warrior or a king to
right.
humans. See what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Right.
divide the
No.
two. Now,
Yeah.
if you want to tell me the Kandahar giant is a Nephilim, I will agree with you. I would say, yeah,
Right.
there's some supported evidence that the Kandahar giant and different giants that are showing up in Afghanistan, Iran, and stuff like that. I can agree with you. We can have that conversation, but not
Right.
Bigfoot. Bigfoot is
Yeah.
separate. Bigfoot is it's too
Well,
ape-like.
I
It's
think.
too primate-like.
Well, and I think where people, I think they slide into the Nephilim theory with the book of, or with Esau. You know, a lot of people connect Bigfoot and Esau because he was a hairy person, and then I think they just slide over into Nephilim. You know, and maybe I don't know, but I don't. I think it's just a big. I don't know. You know, like you hear a lot of stuff. I think, is there anything special about it? You know, my biggest thing is I think it's flesh and blood, but I think they have a. I do think that they have. Uh, I don't know, with autistic kids. You know, like
Hmm.
I've seen that in the woods, and there's something to that. And I don't know if it's just an ape thing or what, but you know
Well,
that's an
Christopher Noel wrote a book on that and did a great a documentary on the autism attraction, or similarities to Bigfoot with the rocking,
right,
the organization of certain items and stuff like that, which is very autistic driven. See what I'm
right,
saying? I'm
right,
a true believer. I believe in Bigfoot, and I'm a true believer that it is just an unknown species, and we got to figure it out. I think it's more primate than it is human, but
right,
people understand humans are in the primate family. So when I say
right,
primate, I'm not saying gorilla, I'm not saying monkey. I'm just saying
right.
it's in that genre of a primate. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's self-aware. I don't. I mean, people talk about its intelligence, but we've had discussions on that. You have to really define intelligence,
Right,
and we can have a show on that again and talk about intelligence of Bigfoot. But I just think it's a separate entity, and I think what Mike encountered was a creature that is at home in the woods. That's its home. it by happenstance, Mike and this thing were at the same place at the same time, and they encountered each other. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, I'm sure Bigfoot went back and said, "Hey, I just encountered a human." Um,
I
so
scared this. I scared this guy to death.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, we were
yeah,
talking today. We mentioned a family unit of Bigfoot, and I was wondering if if you thought there was pockets of Bigfoot family in like Appalachian or wherever, and you didn't think so, and that kind of really made sense after you told me that.
yeah. Me and Mike had a conversation, and we were talking about the family units. And when I do a lot of my research, and I'm sitting here late at night, and I want to deep dive into Bigfoot. What is the one thing that we can look at that's similar, which will be gorillas? Okay, because we already know human behavior and human activity, and the cross is gorilla. That's the next closest thing to a Bigfoot other than human. And what is their characteristics and lifestyle? And when you watch a lot, and I've watched hundreds of hours of stuff on gorillas, they you watch their behavior, and they're very humanistic. Their
Yeah.
behavior is human. Their gestures are human. So I
Mhm.
get that the people put the two together, but but when gorillas are in family groups, they're very destructive of the
Yeah.
area that they're in. They mat down everything within acreage of feeding, sleeping, romping around, and stuff like that. We're not finding that. We are not finding these large areas of destroyed areas. That we find nests, we find
Mhm.
broken trees, we find structures and stuff like that. So in my mind, and I'm leaning more as years go by, I lean more and more towards this theory that um, they're family groups only during the mating season. Just like
Mhm.
bears, they come together with a female. They'll be seen a lot together, okay? But as soon as the bear is pregnant, she breaks away because she's going to have her young and she's going to raise her young because the male bear will kill them.
Yeah.
A male bear will kill its offspring. So I think a female Bigfoot, when you have these family groups, is for a very short period of time when there's a mating going on, there's and stuff like that. But then they're going to break off because if you're going to stay hidden and you're going to stay out of the limelight of humans, then you need to be sparse. You need to be small numbers. You can't be, 5, 10, 15 Bigfoot in a clan and not be seen or not be found or not see the signs that you were there. It's just impossible. I have tracked countless miles in the forest, and so is Frank,
Mhm.
especially Frank, throughout the country, and we're not seeing destruction like that where there's large family groups. See what I'm saying? And a family of 5, let's say, would leave a very large footprint, a very large signature that they were there. So I think they come together for periods of time, okay, and then they separate again. And they're self sufficient. They find their own food. They take care of their own and stuff like that. But again, they will come together when it's time to mate again. And I think most males are um, by themselves because they're looking for females. If you're going to procreate and you're going to create this species and continue the species, you have to procreate with multiple female Sasquatch. It's not just one. You have to continue, like gorillas. They have a harem of women, a whole bunch of females. The other males are not allowed to procreate with those females. So that other male has choices. He either stays and remains a follower and doesn't have sex with the females and follows the leader, or he breaks off and becomes his own leader and creates his own tribe and has his own offspring, or he challenges the leader for these females. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same in the Bigfoot community. I think it's the same in their world that there's competition for the females, and I think that there's a lot of movement, a lot of travel for food and for procreation. And that's just my theory, guys. I'm not no expert. This is just my theory because the evidence is just kind of leaning me towards that direction.
Well, and I wouldn't, and just by videos and stuff that I've seen, and reports and stuff. I mean, there have been reports of them being two or three in a group, and I've seen a couple videos. The last one I seen, there was a guy ran across. It looked like four of them, and he had. I can't remember what the video. I know it's on YouTube, but I can't remember the name. But there was a really big one, and then there was a little bit smaller one, and then there was two little ones, and the one really big one was way out in front of them. And now, was it that or was it a hoax? I don't know, but the I would think that if they were a family group, it would be no more than a couple of them. And I think with the migration patterns, and I think they migrate a little bit here and there. But I would think that if you did see a couple of them, it may be the mother and the kids. And I don't think just
Right.
like but like how often you see more does than you do bucks. They're not hanging out with the
Right.
family and doing things. They're off, and maybe it stays in the vicinity. I don't know, but
Well, it's the same as if somebody says, "Well, I know, because I was followed out of the woods and there was multiple." That's what happened.
right,
My first encounter, I think, were multiple. But
right,
did I end up going into an area where there were multiple males, or
right,
there was a
yeah,
male and a female that had come
yeah,
together to procreate? See what I'm saying?
yeah,
I just was at the right place at the right time, or wrong place
right,
at the wrong time, and
right,
so there was multiple. But
right,
a month later or 2 months later, would I have the same scenario? Maybe it was just one because they've
right,
already done the deed. She's moved on to have the babies and raise the babies and so forth, and he's moved on to either find another mate or to continue his level of survival.
Or he's gone to where the food is, you know?
Right? Absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
There's
that
food
was
everywhere in Florida.
well, see, that was the main thing when I got into this. I really wanted to start. You're a hunter, so you follow the food. So I got into learning plants, and I got into learning, because the deer is going to go to certain places, the wildlife's going to go to certain places to feed, and then the Bigfoot's going to follow the deer and stuff. And not only that, like, they say that they're like a bear; they eat both. So
Hmm.
it's a prime spot if you know where certain plants and certain stuff is growing throughout the year and when it produces and all that stuff, and you're in that spot and you hang out in that spot during that time, the animals are going to come in because they got a small window of opportunity to come in and feed in that area. So
Yep.
if you can find those spots and get out there to where those spots are, who knows, you may or may
Especially a
not.
water source. If
Right, yeah,
when I was a deer hunter, if I knew there was a water source and I found it, I would stage in a tree because I was definitely a tree stand guy, a climber. I would get up about 20-25 feet up, and but I'd be about 50 yards off of this water source because they're gonna come and get a drink, especially in Florida because it's so hot and humid. They're
yes.
gonna come and get a drink.
Especially if there's a good water source that's out in the middle of the woods that there's no other water sources really close
Yep.
by. You know what I mean? That's a good spot because there's if they can survive without a lot of water down here, more power to them.
Yeah.
Because
Yep. Well,
that's
it's
why a
like
lot
what
of
was the
people.
name of that? What was the name of that casting? The name just slips me. I usually know it. Doesn't name, but it's the one where they caught the half body, the buttocks and stuff like that. Remember that casting? God,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
was the
where
name
they
of that? Somebody in the audience will probably knows it. Begins with an S. But anyways, it's by a water source. They put fruit and stuff on the ground near a water source, and this Sasquatch creature came. Literally, that's it. Skookum. Thank you, Seminole. Skookum laid down on the ground on its side on its hip
yeah,
and was eating the fruit. See what I'm saying? But it was
right,
near a water source.
right,
Water sources are very important to me when I'm out researching and stuff. And they're like Mike, when we go out to Mike's at some point, Dibs, we that's one of the key things is, where's the nearest water source? And we know there's plenty of food sources. There's hogs, there's deer, there's small game animal and stuff like that. Of course, we have the palmetto berry season, which is high in protein. That's a good season. We have natural blackberries and strawberries in the state of Florida. There's a lot of things that they can eat. But water is key. Water is important. Nothing survives without water.
There was a lake within probably 150 yards of where I had my sighting. So there you go.
Very nice. See, that's it. You have the perfect environment.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Nobody can say, when me and Frank come out there, the one thing we can't say is the environment can't support it. We already know it does.
Yeah.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You're surrounded by ungodly amount of land. There's water, there's food sources. So that's now off the table. We know that area can sustain life because I know, push comes to shove, me and Frank are lost out in the woods for any definite time. We could, as humans, we could survive out there. We will find ways to feed ourselves. So does this thing, and he's better at it than we are. So now it's just a matter of finding the evidence.
Oh, this area that I saw him in, it was a jungle. I mean, it was a jungle. I mean, it had all the palmetto plants and the palm trees and the other trees, and you could have filmed a Tarzan movie there. I mean, it would have looked like you were in Africa. And as a matter of fact, right down the road in Venice, I heard they did film a Tarzan movie back in, I don't know, the 30s or whenever.
Yeah. They did, absolutely.
And with Johnny Weissmuller was in it, so that gives you an idea how long ago that was. But
yeah, we're talking about your age again, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Jeez.
I brought up somebody. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I brought up, and we were talking about horror flicks and stuff, and I said, well, as a kid, my all-time favorite, for some reason, I just loved this, was the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And they're like, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. What is that? I said, well, you got to go watch this. Go YouTube it or whatever. But it's Creature from the Black. I always loved the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That was a good one.
And one of the things is it never had a name. It was the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and that was filmed in Florida.
You know what's funny was that was one of my favorites. And I kept getting tripped up on when I ran in the Creature from Black Lake. You know what I mean? Like it would always pop up Creature from Black Lagoon. I'm like, I know the Creature from Black Lagoon ain't a Bigfoot. That's like, so why does it keep doing this? But I ran across the book of it today, and I thought, man, I said maybe I should get the book because that was one of my. I loved that. I loved that show as a kid, and I've not seen it probably since I was a kid. But it's funny that you bring that up because I literally ran across that book today.
I had the figurine when I was a kid. The figurine of. I just always loved the Creature from the Black Lagoon. That was my big thing before Bigfoot. Was the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I was into the Creature of Black Lagoon and Swamp Thing.
That was filmed over around Silver Springs, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Seminole War created. He made a good point. They made three different movies, and like you said, as time went by, the budget got smaller, and so did the quality of the film. So, I agree, Seminole. If anybody's ever going to watch Creature from the Black Lagoon, watch the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, because it does go kind of downhill after that. But there was a lot of technology that was experimental during that film, like the tanks that did not give off bubbles. So when the creature was swimming, he didn't give off bubbles like he had a tank on him. See what I'm saying? That was new technology back then.
It's rebreathers.
Yep.
Called rebreathers that didn't give off the bubbles.
Right.
I don't know what year those were invented, but probably late 50s.
He said the third film was in Jacksonville sewers. It did get bad. It did. Same with the Planet of the Apes. As time went by and the budget went different, the quality of the apes went really downhill. The originals, not the Hollywood special effects, but the originals.
I watched one of the originals, and I just thought it made me think of the whole Bill Munns thing, because he was a costume designer, and he was talking about
Right.
how back in the original Planet of the Apes, they were nowhere near as close as far costume designing as what Patty was. So he was like, if it was fake, whoever done that was beyond what we could do as Hollywood, makeup artists and stuff. And a lot of the stuff that he said made sense to me. Like he was talking about how the head was. Because I think the guy that's, and I'm sure there's different stories. I want to say the guy that said he was wearing the costume said he had a football helmet on. And the guy was like, well, even if that was the case, the head goes back. So it would have still left that part of the helmet. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he made a lot of good points, and I know a lot of people was like, he's not creative. But he was on a lot of good stuff. Like he designed costumes and Swamp Thing and stuff, and
Well,
that's
he
a great.
brought up a fantastic point on that documentary. This was the point that stuck with me the hardest because he made some great points when he talked
Yeah.
about the that new documentary that's out and why it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one that struck me was they keep saying, well, they have this film of the suit and recreating the Patterson Gimlin thing, and it's exact. Well, wouldn't you have to have the Patterson Gimlin film to recreate
Yeah.
it exactly? See what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So there's evidence that this film did not. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How did you make the Patterson Gimlin film after and make it exactly like the costume one? See what I'm saying? It's
Right.
impossible. It's
Yeah,
impossible.
because
Um,
my understanding was they made the costume to do like kind of like what AI does now. They was going to go back and put this dude in a costume and have him walk from here to there, and kind of retelling a story. And then they were like, no, that's the costume. There's a lot of drama behind that, and
yeah,
it,
but
it's crazy because it's like the thing that I found funny was they waited till Meldrum died and then
right,
decided to coming out with all this stuff.
right. And again, I bring up the point. I do not base my knowledge or my experiences or my belief or anything on a Patterson Gimlin film. That
Right.
happened before I was born. I'm looking at. I didn't even get into this subject until 2005, so I base it on from 2005 to 2026 on what I've experienced and what I've learned and what and the people that I've spoken to in that period of time. See what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's me. Like I go by off what I've had happen to me in the woods, what I've seen in the woods. Uh, the Patty footage wasn't anything to me because I never had seen it until I was already into it, And so if it is fake and they faked us out, cool. But if I don't believe that it is, I believe it's a real Sasquatch. But I think there's just too much detail in it, and I think that I know there's a lot of, and we could go back and forth, but there's a lot of back and forth that says, for instance, like
It's always been 50-50 on that
right,
film. And
yeah,
this doesn't even when this documentary came out, people are still 50-50. Some still believe Patterson Gimlin film is
well,
real, and some still don't. So it doesn't make a difference. That's
right,
why I'm so done, especially with MK Davis, for example.
mm-hmm,
Okay, I have zero desire to have a discussion with MK Davis about Bigfoot because there's nothing new they're bringing to the table.
right,
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? We're still discussing something that was so long ago. You know what I
right.
mean? What's that other guy? Forget his name now. He does all the film on Patterson Gimlin, and he always puts on a video, new information or new this. There's never anything new. There's
Yeah.
never anything new.
He's
Okay,
like the guy
so be done, huh?
talking about the guy that kind of replaced MK. I think
Right.
his name starts
So
with a T, but I can't think.
yeah.
I know he's talking about.
So, but the bottom line is, it's done. It's been I'm not saying N.K. Davis is a bad guy. I don't. I think he's a wonderful guy. I think he's a
Yeah,
sweet guy. He's a nice guy. Everything else. But what I'm saying is it's done. It's overdone. Let's move on. There is so much other evidence out there that needs to be looked at and analyzed. Forget the Patterson-Gimlin film. Let's move forward. See what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think it's just the haters. I think it's just their way of trying to take a jab at a believer. Oh, it's
Right.
fake, and therefore you're crazy. Like, I could care less if it's fake.
Right.
know,
It's kind of like
It's like
ufology. Everybody sticks to Area 51 in
Right.
1947 when the crash. Forget that. Let's look at current events. Let's look at what's currently happening, what's currently being filmed, what's currently being documented. You know what I mean?
I think for me as a skeptic, when I came in from being prior military and all the technology I seen the military have, and my first thought was, there's no way if these things exist that they wouldn't either have one, seen one, video one. But I hadn't got into it doing my own research at that time. So once I got into it and then read the military accounts and read and seen videos and seen all this stuff and then really got into it and then had my own stuff happen, uh, it was a big exploring time. It's like it opened me up enough to where now and people go and say, well, if you believe in Bigfoot, you got to believe in this, and I don't go that route.
No.
But I believe every bit of the stories. I mean, you got stories from Vietnam soldiers that called them the rock apes. Uh,
Right.
there's just too much for it not to be more of a subject in a more scientific way. And I know that they're supposed to be doing something at NC State with the DNA and all that stuff, and who knows when all that'll come out. But uh, you would think it would. There's enough out there for them to really go at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which tells me
Right.
that the reason that they ain't is because they already got it. That's the way I
Right.
look at it.
Oh yeah.
So
I think the government's fully aware. They're fully
yeah,
aware one way or the other. They're fully
yep, for
aware
sure.
one way or the other. They are fully aware that it exists, or they're fully aware that we're all nuts and it doesn't exist. They're fully aware one way or the other.
yeah, yeah,
What was
yeah.
that last question that came up there? I just
It
got
was
the.
Seminole War was saying that he says when you have one of those slap your tent, you are more worried about that than the PG film. And I agree because I've had that encounter. I've had that exact
Oh,
encounter.
I I have one in Mammoth Cave. The time that I heard the scream that happened in front of us and the smell that night, I feel like it followed us back because I was laying on my cot in my tent and I was woke up to like a high, and the side of my tent was being pushed in where it almost touched me. And I turned around, I kicked the tent real hard, and I thought, who knows? But I've had some weird experiences with tents, and there's a lot of reports of that. And
I've had some encounters, and maybe one day we'll have a show on it because I haven't talked about it in a long time. But maybe we'll have a show on it and discuss those encounters that I had and stuff like that, which
yeah,
is in the area where those photos that I showed earlier, same area. So I've had encounters out there.
yeah,
The Bigfoot Mapping Project shows multiple encounters in that same area. So it's a good area.
yeah.
It's a good area. So, and I look forward to you coming, Frank, and us spending some time out
You
there. I really do.
you say when, and I'll be there
Yep.
because I'm excited. I've been wanting to get into Florida for a while, and I don't think people, the story that was always told to me, not story, but the thing that people always told to me, because there's a certain group that believe they only exist in the Northwest, and
Right.
they're like, it's just too hot in Florida. And I'm like, dude, there's all kinds of crap that lives in Florida. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
We got monkeys. We got
Yeah,
monkeys.
we got monkeys.
we got
you know?
we got pythons.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's untelling what's all in this place. But if I know we have bears, we have a lot, and if they're living out there, why couldn't one of these? Like I just, to me, that's just the craziness. But I would like to see all that's in the, that was out here. After Andrews, I think one of my former bosses, he said, he's clean. They used to have a big reptile place down here, and I didn't know this. I was talking to a guy. I can't remember where he's from. I think he's from either West Virginia or Kentucky, but uh, or no, he's from South Carolina. He his daughter, and here in Homestead, I had no clue this existed, but they do a research. There's a gorilla research center apparently here in Homestead that his daughter works at, and where they mix DNAs and create different things. And not saying they're creating something crazy, but certain DNAs, he was saying something about, like, some of it can cost 25, 30 grand, but it's like they're testing different DNAs from gorillas, and I don't know if it's into like the cloning thing or what, but I never knew that was a part of Homestead. And if I didn't go out to South Carolina when I was up there and do this report with this guy, he's sitting here telling me how his daughter lives down here and works as a nurse at this place. And I'm just like, a gorilla research center here in Homestead? Like, who knows?
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
that would be interesting.
Well, it's like Mike brought up. Me and Mike had a conversation on the phone, and when we talk about that picture that was famous from that lady, that old lady, the 80-year-old that took that photograph of the one behind her house, it looked orangutan.
Right.
It looked like a giant orangutan.
Yep.
That's what the one I saw had a lot of similarities to an orangutan.
And me and Rick talked about it. Like, I looked at the BFRO, and right around the same time, like a few houses down, had not that it was coming up on the porch and stealing apples or stealing fruit, but in the same spot, about, I think it was, the way I measured it was maybe like 100 yards. Same thing, same time, orangutan looking thing, just bigger, and I thought, well, they couldn't have known that the neighbor sent it in, because they sent it in anonymously, so it had to be something.
Right hand, Clyde. Remember that, Mike? Right hand, Clyde.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of that movie?
Oh.
Every Which Way But Loose.
Every Which Way But Loose. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a pet orangutan that went everywhere with him, and he could sick it on a vehicle, and it would completely demolish that vehicle.
Yeah.
But if he wanted the orangutan to punch somebody, Clint Eastwood would just look at him and go, "Right hand, Clyde." Bam! He would punch the guy.
Yeah, with all the research facilities they have down here, they just said there was 3 monkey facilities down around Homestead area. I was just happened to be in Florida when Andrew went through, and of course when Ian went through, that was Hurricane Ian was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just flattened everything. It had to.
It destroyed everything.
Oh yeah, and there was a facility down around Homestead, and you may have heard of it. It was more like a tent, and they had snakes in there. It was a snake.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and they had snakes in these plastic things, and they said when it hit that tent, he said it was like a bunch of frisbees going off, and all the snakes went out in the Everglades, and that's why they have such a problem down there now.
Well, my boss, they was a poisonous one that they had, like exotic poisonous snakes, and he's probably in his mid to upper 80s, but he was telling me right after Andrew, like it flooded out everything, and he was in his garage cleaning some stuff out and turned around, and a cobra flew up, and he was like, "What?"
Oh yeah.
Like a cobra, but so much stuff
there could be anything out there. There could be any kind of snake out there.
Right.
Yeah. I got bit by a copperhead when I was a kid. Fortunately, it was a dry bite, and I didn't realize it was a copperhead till years later. But
right.
I look everywhere when I go outside.
Oh yeah.
And I take the dog out at night. I look around everywhere for anything.
Yeah.
God bless my friend Kerry Arnold. He made a famous quote one time. He says, "You're looking for Bigfoot until you see a snake."
Yeah.
And now everywhere you go, you're looking for snakes.
Yeah.
You're looking for Bigfoot until you see a snake. You know, and Florida's got a lot of poisonous snakes. We got like 5 different species of rattlesnake. You know, we got cottonmouths and different things, and
coral.
You know, we got coral snakes,
rattlesnakes. And,
yeah, I mean, and then get into insects. We got multiple species of black widows and you know, brown recluse, whatever. You know, we got a lot of. I tell people all the time, there's a lot of things in Florida that want to do you harm.
Water moccasins. Water moccasins are everywhere. I was out in my front yard one time. I lived on a lake, and I started to reach down to grab something from under a sable palm. And I thought, I better look first. And I'll be darned, I looked, and there was a big water moccasin underneath there. And his body was bigger around than my forearm. And those are mean snakes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're fat.
He's about 40 inches long. I mean, I measured him after we killed him. But they're scary snakes.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time in the swamps.
Oh,
and,
Where were you?
That's always my biggest concern is always the 2 animals that I worry about the most. I'm not so much worried about rattlesnakes because they'll let you know, but moccasins and wild pigs. Those are the 2 things I fear more than I fear anything else. You know, a black bear, I can act big and tough and he'll run off. You know what I mean? But a hog, I act big and tough, he's probably going to charge me. He's probably going to come at me.
Yeah.
That'll hurt you.
You know, I know every time I go into Big Cypress, especially like in the January, February time, all you see on the side of the road going down, I can't remember the name of that road, but it's a long trail to go into where Bear Island and stuff is. And I mean, every 20 yards, there was a 5-6 foot eastern diamondback sitting there. And, you know, they're coming out trying to take in the sun, and they're absolutely everywhere. And it blew my mind. I was like, you know, I know there's a lot, but I mean, it was just like, you know how like you see those gators out in the pile right before somebody's going to feed them, and there's just hundreds of them. That's kind of how these rattlesnakes were. And I was just like, and then, you know, you can't do nothing to them because they're protected. And I was just like, you know, they's like, you can kill all the pythons you want. I said, I'm not worried about a python. Like, I'm worried about the poisonous snake that's a rattlesnake and me being 2 or 3 hours from a hospital.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember going
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, people are scared of pythons. I'm not worried about pythons, and I'm not worried about alligators. You know, that's something. But,
you know, I'm not worried about gators. At night, I'd be a little more worried about gators, but you know, during the day, I don't. But you know, down here we got our little crocs, and they're a little more aggressive. So, and they get huge.
Well, that's one of the things people argue with Floridians about. They say, "Oh no, you don't have saltwater crocs." Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We actually have saltwater crocs that are indigenous to this area.
Yeah.
They're not brought in. They are not in a invasive species. They were always here.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize that.
Big, and they're I took a picture of one down by Alabama Jacks down here, and dude, it just looks gnarly. Like you know, up in Homestead, you get you see gators everywhere, but like there's a big difference.
Well, Mayaca is really bad.
Yeah.
I can take you to places in Mayaca that you'll see hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
I was down where that spot is. I know where you're talking about. There's a lot.
Yep. There's a lot of it. I went on one of the airboat rides out there one time, and it was the dry season. So we went out on the lake, and in the center of the lake, on the east end of it, there's a sandbar. You couldn't see the sandbar because of
Right.
how many gators were on it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So there's a
And
lot of gators
but then
out at Mayaca.
catch a fish sometime out there. We went
oh
bass
yeah.
fishing out there.
Oh, I
You can hook a
have.
bass, and you won't see
Oh
an
yeah.
alligator until you catch one, and then zoom, he comes right over and takes it right
Oh
off
yeah.
off your hook.
It's
Yep.
funny you say that, Mike.
That's a fact.
It's funny because when you enter Mayaca, when you enter Mayaca, there's an area where you have to cross a little bridge, and
Oh
there's people
yeah,
fishing off the bridge. They
yeah.
catch fish, and they got to reel in super fast
Yeah.
because the gators come out and try to catch their fish. I watched
I
them.
went
It's
across there one
crazy.
time, and there had to be 25 alligators down there,
I
and
was
everybody
way
was
out in the
stopping
Redlands.
and throwing stuff in.
I was way out in the
Yep.
Redlands, and I had just hooked a what do they call it? A peacock bass? Yeah, I
Yeah,
just hooked a big
Yeah.
peacock, and I'm sitting there fighting this thing, and I'm reeling it in, and and all of a sudden this 10-foot gator just came out of nowhere and just snagged it, and I thought,
Yeah.
ugh,
And there's nothing you can do about it.
no,
There's
there's
nothing
nothing.
you
I
can
just
do
reached
about it.
up and cut the line. Yeah, that's all I did. I was like,
That's all you can cut it immediately so you don't lose a lot of line. You
right.
cut it
Yeah,
immediately because there ain't nothing you can do because you're not
yeah,
pulling him in.
yeah.
yeah.
I knew.
You're
I
not
was
pulling
like,
him in.
yeah. He came. He after that one, he sat around waiting, and then he started coming up the bank, and there was a plastic bag of ice that had melted that somebody had left, and it started trying to eat the plastic bag. But then it started coming up farther, closer, and I had to hit it with a little rock to get it to shoe on because it was getting in dart range, like where
Yep.
it could take off really quick at you. And I was like, no, 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 it's getting a little too close.
I was
But it
down
was,
in your area and I was fishing for peacocks, but I was also fishing for snakehead. And this gator followed me the whole time.
yeah,
He followed me the entire time, which told me people are feeding him.
Yeah.
People,
right,
because there's a campground across the canal, a lot of campers and stuff, and I
right,
think they're feeding this gator. So he was not afraid of me whatsoever. So
right.
openly tell everybody, do not feed the alligators. They will get accustomed to that, and you will not get rid of them.
And I've
And then
seen
one day you're going to walk your little dog and wonder
Yep,
why your dog is dead. But you
yep.
can only blame yourself because you were feeding the gators.
I
I've
think
seen it
something
happen.
people don't realize is when we first came down here, I would ask people walking around. We lived on a lake, and I said, "Do you think there's any alligators in there?" And the guy looked at me and he said, "There's either one there, there was one there, or there will be one there." So he said, "There's alligators in every body of water down here." And I mean, my son Kyle comes home one day, and I see him coming down the road, steering the car. He found one in a ditch and driving, bringing it home, and put it in his room for a while in a barrel. I think he did that 2 or 3 times, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Well, the same thing
The
can
rule of
happen.
thumb is if you
There's
stick your
water.
hand in water and it comes out wet, there's a gator in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's about right.
you're right. Well, the same thing happened to me when I moved down here. Uh, you start seeing all these signs everywhere. It's like gator, don't feed the gators, all this stuff. And I thought, is there really gators? Because I was in a gated community and there's a big pond, but it's kind of secluded. And I thought, is there really? And no joke, I looked maybe 5 foot to the left of that sign, and there was one just sitting there in the water. And I thought, they
Hmm.
really are. I said, they're everywhere, dude. But over
Yep.
time, I just learned you see them all over the place, and if you don't see them, don't mean they ain't there.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. I don't swim in any type of water in Florida.
Nope.
Me neither.
Ocean,
No, it's not worth it.
nothing.
And I check my swimming pool before I go jump in it
Oh
too.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
bust right through the screen and get right in
Oh
the
yeah.
pool.
yeah,
Yeah. They'll ring the doorbell. They'll
yeah.
ring the doorbell.
Got a lot of
It's
things that can get you down here.
yeah,
A
oh
lot
yeah,
of things. A lot of things. That's what I explain. Researching in Florida is a completely different entity than researching anywhere else. When I went to Ohio and when I went to North Carolina, when I research, I'm very relaxed
hmm
because
I
there's
catch
not
myself
that many things that are going to
anytime
hurt
I'm
me.
around water though. Now, when I'm back home, I catch myself scanning the water real quick to see the gator heads, and I don't,
Yep.
it's just I never used to do that, but now that I've lived here for 12 years, when I go back home, I catch myself looking at water, looking for gator heads, before I get
Yep.
close to them. It's just habit. And, but, you think about how many gators and how many people, I know people say all the time that there's no such thing as a Florida panther. I've seen them. I've got them on game
Dude,
cameras.
I love it when people say that. There's no, dude. It is there. It is. There's 200 of them. The FWC is documented. There's 200.
Yeah.
We have them in our local zoos. There's a zoo right here, not far from me. If it's a drive, but it's not far. Zolfo Springs. They have a Florida panther in a cage. They exist. They're here. They've always been here. Now the black panther, I can agree that probably doesn't exist, but
Yeah, it does.
Florida panther does
It
exist.
does.
I've seen them in Kentucky.
I saw one. I saw one just outside my house one day. It came out of the woods, a lot that wasn't redone, and it came out, and I thought, God, is that? I thought it was a black lynx or something like that, because I didn't think there was any black panthers down here either. So I checked with somebody, and they said you should call FWC and tell them. So I called and told the lady. She goes, there aren't any here in Florida. I said,
not black ones. They always decline the black ones, but we know there are panthers. My research area, I have literally seen people's photos in my research area of Florida Panthers. That's why we have a sports team called the Florida Panthers. They are here. I hate it when people say there's no panthers. We do have panthers. They're the same as mountain lions. They're the exact same thing as mountain lions. We just call them panthers here. They're the same thing. That's like saying California doesn't have mountain lions.
Yeah.
Did you say that you had a black one on your property though?
It was catty corner from my property, and I thought I was seeing things, and it came out, and I walked down the corner to look at it, and it turned around and hissed at me, and at first I thought it was a cat, but when I got closer, I could see how big it was.
Right.
And a couple of days later, I kept seeing this one lady walk by my house with a dog. I said, "Have you ever seen anything funny around here before?" And she goes, "You mean like a black panther?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, She said she'd been walking down here since the 70s, and she said she had seen it several times. So that kind of made me feel better. There was
an area I went to visit family called Lake Grassy, and there was a lot of people saying there's a black panther out at Lake Grassy, and but again, the state or Florida or whatever said no.
Well, the one I've seen in Kentucky, I lived in the mountains, so if you walked out my back door, you was walking up a mountain. And my cousin that lived behind me and his brother lived up on the mountainside behind me, up on I guess what you call up on the hill. They both fought chickens. So they had like 200 roosters in their yard each. And I, as a kid, was out hunting snakes because that was just something that I was interested in. And I'm just looking down, flipping rocks, flipping up stuff. And all of a sudden I turned, and I was so far up, I was up in their yard, kind of in the woods. This thing, I turned, and this massive jet black and shiny coat, but it's the thing that stood out the most to me. It was just laying there like it was sunbathing, and it had the greenest eyes. And when I seen it, it was so big, it shocked me, and I freaked out, and I just threw the rock. I had a rock in my hand where I just picked up, and I threw it towards it and just took off running. And I'm running down the mountain trying to like jump through the back door, but I know I'm gonna have to, all my momentum's going down, and I'm gonna have to stop and open it. And I was so in my mind replaying, like, by the time I get to this door, when I have to stop is when it's gonna grab me. And then luckily I jumped in, and it never followed me at all. But like I panicked because it shocked me. Like it had the biggest green eyes, but it was as big as a German Shepherd. It was big, but it was pretty, and that's the only one I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I tell everybody, if I can catch a Florida panther on my trail cams, I can catch a Bigfoot.
Well,
and
we got one on
because
our
there's more. I think there's more Florida panthers in the state of Florida than there are skunk apes. I mean, I even asked that directly to Jeff Meldrum. We had a conversation, and at one of the Bigfoot Florida conference, and I was sitting there talking to him early morning, like 7 a.m. And I asked him, I said, How many do you think are in the state of Florida? And he automatically said probably at best 80, between 80 and 100 in the state of Florida.
That's still quite a
Now
bit.
that's half
Yeah.
of Florida Panthers. And how
Yeah.
rare is it to see a Florida Panther?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you look at 67 counties, and that leaves what 1 point something Bigfoots
In
per
county.
county.
Yeah.
That's
And
rare.
probably
That's
yeah.
rare. If there was absolutely, let's say there were 2 Florida Panthers in every single county, you'd never see them.
No, never would.
Nope. And I think the majority of them are probably in the center of the state or along the panhandle. Like
Yep.
I don't think there's
Right.
as many
Up
down
there.
here. I think there's maybe a couple down here, but like I think mainly the middle of the state. But
Yep.
well,
you got an open invite to come here to the center of the state.
I'm coming.
Come on down. We'll go look. We'll take a few days and look around here someplace, see if we can find
Yeah.
it.
Well, we're definitely going to be in touch with
really
you, Mike.
appreciate it, for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Frank will talk
Okay.
and figure something out, and then get with you since you're retired. You're wide open.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
me and Frank still work, and we'll work something
Oh,
out.
that's a shame.
I'll work till I'm dead.
Darn.
Okay,
Better you
I will
than
work
me.
till I'm dead. But we'll work something out.
I still can't believe you weren't even born when the Patterson Gimlin film came out. I was in high school.
I was born in 1969.
Were you really? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I'm way farther beyond. I'm a 87 baby.
I wish I was.
I feel like a 67 baby.
Yeah. 51.
But we'll work something out.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
for
can do
sure.
that.
And me and Frank, because evidently Frank likes to drive. Because I don't know how he does it. Because I hate freaking driving.
If I wasn't really into this, there's no way I'd do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially with traffic the way it is down here. My gosh. It gets worse every year.
It's crazy.
But we'll work something out as long as, like I said, my biggest thing is give me and Frank first dibs. Let us get a chance to come out there. We'll do a live interview on. I'll film everything. Like I said, I'll document the investigation. We'll recap your story. Me and Frank will take time and really, because me and him love the woods, we'll delve deep into those woods. We will walk everywhere looking for any kinds of signs and stuff like that. Even if it's me and Frank will put a tent up in the backyard. We don't care. See what I'm saying? We'll run audio all night long. We don't care.
Yep.
We'll sit out there with night vision and thermal. It doesn't make a difference. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
It'll just be one day, or maybe 2 at the max, Friday to Sunday or Saturday to Sunday. But anyway, we'll work it out.
That.
We'll make it happen. But if you can make it happen for us, Mike, we'd love to do it.
Sure. Just let me know when.
We'll work something out. Now, it'll definitely be cooler temperatures.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable right now. Whew.
I'm not opposed to hot temperatures. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about it, but definitely cooler temperatures help, mostly because of the bugs. Mosquitoes kind of dying down. So.
Yeah.
What time of year was it when you seen it? Thanksgiving, you said?
Yeah, Thanksgiving 2024.
Thanksgiving.
So,
wow. Christmas has always been a good time for me. Christmas time, December.
Yeah.
It's all right. And I was back up there last Thanksgiving, and of course I didn't see it. Of course, what was the chances that be?
Right.
And he was moving south, by the way. So I don't know where that had. Who knows what that had to do?
Right.
It'd be. Have you looked at it on a map to kind of see what's in that area? If it would have went that way.
I'll bring a drone.
I could tell from my son's house which way it was going. It definitely was going south. So maybe it wanted to go south where it was warmer for the winter. I don't know. Yeah,
the opening video when I start the show, you can see, the intro, the drone footage. That's my research area. It's very large. It's very large.
Yeah, that's
cool.
But
that's my research area.
Oh yeah, we'll be out there because I love this stuff. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I tell my wife all the time, what's the worst that could happen? If I don't see nothing, I'm out in the woods, and you always find pretty
It's a
stuff.
win-win. It's a
Win-win.
win-win.
Get
That's
away
what I
from
tell
people.
everybody. I
Yeah, I love
love camping.
it. Yeah. And it does me good mentally. So
Yeah.
I grew up in the woods, and I miss it when I moved down here. And granted, there's a lot of stuff here. It's just different, but it's hard to get out there in the summertime and really, it's just awful. And I'm
Well,
not saying it can't, but it's rough,
with
especially
all
if
the
you try to
rain.
sleep in a tent. It's like you're in a sauna the whole night.
Yeah. Well, with all the rain we've had, mosquitoes are going to be horrible this year.
Hey, y'all probably got hit pretty hard yesterday, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was the
Yeah.
worst one we've had in a long time.
It was supposed to hit here, and it went north of us, so I kind of figured you all got it.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever watch the weather, look at my county, which is, Howlands County and stuff like that. The storms start here. They just explode in
Yeah,
Central
no,
Florida.
I
And
keep
we
a
get lightning and thunder,
yeah.
and I'm surprised we didn't get anything today. I was worried about the show, like, oh man, I hope the thunderstorms
Well,
get through.
I watch the weather a lot, like on my app, and keep up with the radar. And I've seen what you're talking about, where it'll be calm, and all of a sudden, right in the center, it'll just go
It
crazy.
just explodes here. It
Yeah.
because we're called the Lake Wells Ridge. We're
Hmm.
the highest level in the state of Florida. We're the
Okay.
highest level. We're like 300 and something feet above sea
That's
level.
right.
And
It says I'm
for
negative too.
some reason, because of that, we get the Gulf winds, and then we get the Atlantic winds. Everything builds into the center of the state, and we get these massive thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. See where I'm at, where I'm on the very bottom southeast corner of the state. It's kind of tricky here because it'll say you're fixing to get it, and at the last minute, the wind carries it some other place. Usually, it's either above us or below us. And but where you are at, I see you all get destroyed all the time. And honestly, a lot
Yeah.
of hurricanes kind of hit that area too, really bad.
Yeah, we have a rough time.
Yeah.
But um, well, I think this is a great show. I think it
Well,
was a lot
good.
of fun.
Hope it
Mike,
turned out all
you
right.
are Mike. You're an awesome guest, man. Like
Well,
I
thank
said,
you.
it's just a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
you guys
it's
are easy
three
to
guys.
talk to.
Yeah, it's three guys having a conversation about something that we're all intrigued about, and it's just a lot of fun, and we just have a lot of people watching, us have
Yeah.
this conversation,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Well,
you did great, and
thank
I
you.
love it when we have somebody that's never been on a podcast and and that's happened to us quite a bit,
Never
and
have.
I love it,
Looks like
and
you've done it a lot.
Oh, thanks.
yeah, and I can make it happen for you, Mike. If you want to do other podcasts, trust me, I can make it happen. And
Yeah, I can do that
now,
again.
now you,
It was
yeah,
fun.
now you're a veteran.
Yeah.
You got it down now. You're a veteran, dude. It's just a conversation. That's all it is.
Well,
I'll hook you up.
Let's go out and look around and find some different places to look at and do, like you said, a film or something, and take a
Yeah.
couple days and
I
what
would
we come up with.
love to come out and do a documentary. Just a couple hours, of filming,
Yeah.
and especially if me and Frank can do an overnight.
Yeah.
And spend some time out there. I'm all in. I'm all
Okay.
in. You know what I mean?
That'd be
And
fun.
so we'll work on that. And like I said, it's a cutthroat world in the Bigfoot community. So for me and Frank
It
to have
is.
dibs on an area, we trust me, we want to jump on that opportunity, and we'll work all the basics out and try to figure out when we can get out there. But it's gonna happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Mike, it's going to happen. And I've met you in person, and it's really funny because I wanted to talk to you because we had spoken before. We had talked for a little bit at the conference, but
Yeah.
then I had gone to the bathroom, and and you were
You
in
weren't
there.
standing outside the
So,
bathroom
and-
waiting for me, were you?
I was waiting for a while. I was like, "Damn, man, how many times you got to shake it?" I'm waiting for Mike to come out because I wanted to concrete something in to talk to you,
That place
And
was
I was like,
packed in there.
Jesus
Couldn't
Christ,
even
man,
wash
I'm
your
about.
hands hardly.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's taking him a long time to come out. But I'm glad you did, and we
Yeah.
talked and everything, and I spoke to a lot of people there, and you were the first one to reach out and say, yeah, I want to talk, I want to do this. So I greatly appreciate it. I'm the same person on the show that I am in person,
Yeah.
and
I am.
I enjoy this. I love this and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
With
the
that,
same way.
Frank,
If you meet me in person, you're gonna get the same guy. So,
Yeah. Me too.
and I'm going to say it again because this is Frank's second show
yeah,
as my
That's right.
co-host.
You
This
just
is Frank's
started,
second
didn't
show.
you?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no,
Right.
I've been around. I just had a different host,
Right.
and so
This
we
is my
just switched,
second
and
show.
I got Frank. Frank's doing a fantastic job, and I'm going to say this again. I'm going to make this announcement again. When I knew I couldn't do it all by myself, and I knew I needed a co-host.
Yeah.
Literally, Frank was the first and only name that popped to mind.
You
Literally.
did a very good job.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I wanted Frank, and thank God the powers that be prayed heavy on it. Frank said yes right away. So here we are doing Sasquatch Unredacted, continuing. Me and Johnny, I love Johnny. Johnny is still one of my closest friends, and I would step in front of a bullet for him. And we did a year and a half of this show. We did 40-something episodes, and I hope me and Frank do another 40 more. So
I'll be here, man. Lord willing.
Well,
and we have
it's
great
good to
guests
do this
like
again
Mike.
sometime.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. Absolutely.
If we get up there and it's a little chilly, I'll make sure I bring you a Michigan boggin.
We can burn it in the fireplace.
I'm not a Michigan fan. I just know y'all hate Michigan.
Oh, I hate him. I hate him.
Yeah. We'll work out all the details. You know what I mean? Because it'll only be a weekend thing. We don't want to take up all your time and stuff like that. And me and Frank do have day jobs.
I don't have
I have a huge tent, Frank. I have a huge tent.
I mean, I was gonna say,
tent,
like,
Frank.
I can do. I have an AC for my tent just for Florida. I can bring out.
Well, my tent is
Let's take the RV. We can
13
take a
by
shower.
9.
Yeah,
My tent's a 13 by 9. It's huge.
Wow.
So
You know what? He said, so we can take a shower. My best thing that I made for a shower, where I do this so much, those battery powered plant sprayers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I take and boil water, or not boil it, but get it hot, and I fill that thing up, and then I can use that.
Yeah, those cold showers are tough to take.
Yeah.
My shower in the woods, and I've camped out a lot. A lot of people have seen me do lives out in the woods and stuff like that, especially when I have a guest. I will literally, if I have somebody that comes out with me, we'll do a podcast from the field. You know what I mean? And especially my buddy Icebox, so you see him in the chat room. Icebox will go live with me anytime. And but my shower thing is baby wipes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, but I'm saying I've been a baby wipes person since I was in the military, and
Yep.
you'll never see me without that. But if I get the chance to take a shower, that's what I use.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
You
times,
take advantage of it.
Yeah. Plenty of underwear and socks, baby wipes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm 100% in.
Well, you two get together and let me know.
We're gonna make it happen, Mike. We're gonna make it happen.
All right, sounds good.
What is this? This is July. So if we don't do it in, let's say, between October and January, that's the time frame I would like to do it, between October and January, because the temperatures are cooler. We don't have thunderstorms. The bugs are a little less and stuff like that. But I would love to get out there and, like I said, just spend a weekend, a couple days, and see what we find. You know what I mean? Because if with me and Frank going in the woods and scouring the woods, we may find stuff you didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We might find evidence that you were like, holy crap. You know what I mean?
I'm new to it. I mean, I've never gone out and done anything like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll take you with us. You'll walk out in the woods with us. And I have night vision. I have thermal. So does Frank. We have all the tools to get out
Okay.
there and have a good investigation and stuff. We both have drones,
Yeah.
but like I said, if we do this, I will do nothing but document. I will
Mhm.
film everything that we do, and that way it's all out there. There's no hoaxing, there's no lying, there's no nothing. It's just
Yep.
two investigators and Mike, and we
Yep.
want to investigate what Mike saw and what Mike did and stuff like that. So it'll be fantastic. I look
Okay.
forward to it.
Oh, me
Me
too.
too.
Me too. Well, let me know
But
when. We'll make it happen.
all right,
Okay.
Mike. Well,
Okay.
I
It's
will
a
let you
pleasure
go,
talking to you.
Mike, and
Okay.
me and Frank will close out the show. Again, Mike, fantastic guest, dude. I
Oh,
enjoyed
well,
this
thank you.
interview. You
I
were a
did
lot
too.
of fun.
Yep.
You have my number. Don't be a stranger. See what I'm
Okay.
saying? I get busy, but don't think I haven't forgot about you. But I do get busy.
All right.
But you could drop me a line anytime,
Okay.
and we appreciate you giving us your time and coming on the show and
No
just having
problem.
a great conversation with us. We
Yeah, it was a good
appreciate it.
time. Frank, nice to meet you.
Hey, you too, brother.
We'll get back
I've
together
had fun.
sometime.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
You
right.
take care,
Well,
Mike.
okay. Thank
God,
you.
God bless you, Mike. You have a great
You too.
weekend.
All right. You too. See ya.
See you.
Good show. Good show. That was
That's
a
a
lot
good
of
one.
fun.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So I sent you a message so you know who our next guest will be. You can't hear me? You can't hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you. You can't hear me? Hold on. You can't hear me?
I still can't hear you. It shows you. It shows. There you go. Say something now.
Can you hear me? Hey, it's weird. I
It
didn't do
showed it at
anything
mute,
except
and then
for
it took it off mute. And same thing.
I don't know. Bye. I'll call you. I'll call you. I'll call you. All right.